networkempire.com, and it's really good to see you this morning. This is Tech Foundation 1, researching, preparing, creating, launching your SEO silo website. And I'm hoping that I have the correct screen showing. Which screen am I showing? Yeah, good. Let me find something more interesting here to show you guys. We're having some people roll in just now, so I'm going to stall a little bit. Go ahead and put the map up on the screen as where we are at. And just in case you missed it, there's a big, giant red splotch that says you are here. Looks like we have a few more people coming in. Let me just get a one from those of you who are already here, if you can hear me. And I am addressing, Jared's asking, does this start now or in an hour? And I'm starting now. I've just pressed the record button. Yes, and the calendar event from GoTo still shows 11 a.m. PST. It is 11 a.m. for me. So the distinction between the time zone is causing some issues. I'm not sure what happened in the scheduling, but we're seriously going to have to look at that. Okay. Anybody else here that can give me a one? Let me know if you have arrived on the call. It's somewhat concerning because we have two new students. I don't see them here yet. So there's a possibility that they might have also the wrong time. Matt is also with us today. He, as you know, lives in South Africa. Good morning, Matt.
Russ, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect, like you said next to me.
Yeah, good. We have
I'm just pinging all the guys, Russ, on Skype too.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, we have, Jared's asking, Arizona doesn't change. Still 11 o'clock here. And this is one of the horrible facts of living in Arizona around this time of the year. You can just guarantee that the next 3 meetings are going to be screwed up unless you take massive action. Even some of the web services that calendarize things for you don't properly sync. So I'm not sure how this happened, if it was us or if it was the calendar system, but we will work to address it as quickly as possible. Okay, can you hear me? Joshua's got me? Okay, good. Now, an introduction from last week. As we gave you the introduction, you can see that on this process map, there are several things that are very important for you to have already gone through at this point. First of all is, what the heck are you selling? You should have some idea of what it is that you're selling already. Okay, one moment, everyone. Let me just pause here for a second. Okay, more people have come in.
Just stop me, bro.
Yeah. Let me just go ahead and drop a message in HipChat as well. I'll play some elevator music for you guys while we're waiting. Just kidding. Okay. All right, we're good with that. So how many of you already have your product in queue? Like, you know what it is that you're, for those of you who have arrived so far, you know what it is that you're selling, and you've got that together. Okay, cool. Somebody's hitting me. Here's somebody who needs to be. Okay, I'm going to have to let this person in while we're waiting. Appreciate your patience, guys. I'll go over to another monitor. And it's better to have got to approve people now, because apparently our material is so popular. It's being spread everywhere, which way and people like to try to get themselves into our webinars. Joshua was saying, I'm selling my product in my site at millionaire-creator.com. So I am clear that phrase. Okay. Yeah, I looked at your site, Joshua, and I looked at the product. I looked at the bullet points. The site looks good so far. Is that your business or are you an affiliate? Because that does make a difference. What is that you're doing? Okay. So what? So the whole system is yours? Like you invented the system, or? What I asked you, Josh, can you hear me? Okay. What I was asking is if the product on Millionaire Creator was yours or if you created it. Okay. Yeah, you created it. That's interesting. It's not a small, I can see that you're ambitious. It's not a small project to do something like that. Okay. Let me just grab this and give this. We have a new student this week that came in a little bit late. So he's going to be coming in. In the meantime, while we're waiting, so there's only 2 people in here, so we're trying to gather everybody up. In the meantime, I will...
All the guys pinged their Russ.
What's that?
I've Skyped all the students.
Awesome. And then there's just one guy trying to get in right now. In the meantime, we'll showcase one of our students' sites. This is Joshua's site that he's working on. He's trying to decide what to do. So Joshua knows what the heck he's selling. That's good. And he's saying it took about 3 years to create this product. Good job, man. I have an appreciation for what it takes, believe me. Okay, he's registered. Now, I've got to go in and just let him in.
Yeah, so we've had some really good chats this week with the guys there, Russ. And,
yeah, how's it going? Like, what's the general?
Yeah, some really good products this time around. It's in this season we're dealing with a lot of guys who have created their own products or are selling products that are white labeled, and it's been quite a interesting chat I've had with the guys. Really, I'm quite excited about this class is coming because it's totally different from the previous one.
Gotcha.
So essentially what we're doing is like with this one with Joshua, he's got his own one, then Jared's got his own product. It's a product that he's found that he's white labeled and he's doing the branding and marketing himself, and he's turning over money already. It's an up and running business and he's been doing it part-time, so it's going to be quite interesting to see how this all turns out for them.
Gotcha. Bill Cox is a student, right?
Yes.
Okay. How about, I have to approve a few people. Matt, you'll be the best to help me. How about Tim Edwards is also, right?
Yes.
Okay. And
there's Welton Dakota.
Yep, him I know. He should be fully.
Vajero, Willie.
How about Louis Perdomo? Are you familiar with him?
Louis. I've not spoken to Louis yet.
Okay, so we'll see what happens.
And he's not Scott, man.
Yeah, there's just a couple of people. I'm just not sure whether we should let them in or not.
Let me have a look quickly in DAP.
Okay. Look, now we're getting some people coming in. Great. So again, guys, those of you just coming in, I want to thank you for your patience as there was some time zone issues. So we've had to round everybody up and go to their house and knock on their door and get them to come to the webinar. Let's see here. There's an Arizona weirdness with time. Now we got some people coming in here. Okay. And I'll have to show you how to get into the approval area, Matt, just as a reminder, just in case I'm not around. Some of these people don't recognize Johnny Andrade. Was he a student?
Yes.
Okay, good. approving. And then we're looking at, I think it's a new student, Milton Cabral.
I've not spoken to Milton yet, so I'm not sure.
Okay, that's all right. We'll leave these for now. Obi-Wan Kenobi, I don't think he's a real student. Oh, actually, that might be somebody else. You got to use your real name, Ted. All right, this is why. Okay, so to start this webinar off, obviously, I want to start with our basic disclaimer. I've given the student a showcase as a holding place. I hope that was helpful, Joshua. Main thing is that we have a no tolerance, zero tolerance policy for the distribution of our material outside of the framework of our paid student and our certification program for obvious reasons. I've been asked by our attorneys and our departments, our legal department, to make sure that you guys know that we protect your material. This is not a threat or any type of thing. It's just letting you guys know, first of all, that we take very seriously. Our material has gotten extremely popular, and everybody is sharing it sometimes, you know, at the webinars at least. If it's not easy, this is why we approve people. So certification stuff we take very seriously because this is about a 10-year process of a build of an integration between training and software. So it's for you. You know, as some of you know, we have consultants that are currently making anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000 for just the research reports coming out of the tools that Matt and I will be showing you. You know, which some of these only take a couple hours to build when you get good. So you can kind of see the leverage or the stretch between time and money generation. So that's really what we need to protect, and you know, we want you guys to be successful, and we value you guys and your ability to incorporate these things into your business model. So with that being said, let's talk about where we're at. So for those of you who just came in, we're going to go ahead and roll now. Make sure I'm recording. For those of you who just came in, this is the WR1 primary site build loop or process map. It's the business process map. As you guys know, business process maps are extremely helpful. They are not always the same for everyone, and they're not necessarily set in stone. This is something that Matt and Sue created. I helped a little bit on my parts. The idea is pretty simple, that we should give you a decision tree. And I think decision trees are highly underestimated in business because there's sometimes decisions that come up that are more distraction-oriented than focus-oriented about getting to that end goal. Matt is an expert in the process of business creation, development, and actually systems administration and systems processes. You know, he had to be when he was creating a giant, you know, surfboard factory chain and supply chain, where he was his first real business. And you can listen to that in his interview. His online skills are really, really good as well. And so this is why he wanted to come up with a process map that just showed you how to get from point A to point B. So as you should have already covered, we do have students that have come in for the first time, and you did not get an introduction. The first thing that we need to know is what the heck are you selling? And you have to define your market. If you're coming into this course and you don't know what it is that you're selling, because a lot of the things that Matt is going to be showing you and talking to you about in your coaching parameters is it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for you. So you're going to have to set up either a fictitious or a proxy type product or concept, which can be a little bit disappointing at the end of the day because then you've got the site set up and it's ranking and it's got traffic. When you're done with this course, it should. And you don't have a product on there or you don't own the product. In the case of Joshua, there's not a problem because he's got a buy button already on his page. And it's for this reason that Matt and I have even told people that it's good to just get a buy button up there. Right? There's no pages, there's no silos. You know, there's a mindset that happens that people have this idea that in order to get this going on, that they have to have this big, giant, beautiful site. And it really does depend, but one of the processes that we've run through people before is, hey, you've got a product. You know, well, how long have you been working on your website? 4 years now. I actually had one student who had a product that he could sell for over 2 years. And we sat down and we actually got a buy button up on a blank page with a little photograph of him similar to this Belcher button that Joshua has on his site. This is a Belcher button. It was invented by an actual person. Somebody discovered, can you imagine? Somebody actually discovered if you scribbled lines pointing to a buy button that it increased a conversion by 2%. You know, people invent everything. So anyway, you got this going on. Well, we sat down and we did that, and then he tossed it to one of his friends. It was a product. I think it was like he really had an awesome product. Like he had process maps and different things, and it was really quite useful. It was like something on Wikipedia editing or something like that. And we put it up there, and just the link alone, because they know who he was when he gave a little talk or a radio broadcast, I think it was my webinar, all they did was stick the buy button up there. And he made like between $600 and $700 a sale. It was the first time he'd actually made more than $100 online, like in a given swoop, like in a single thing. So I hope that you understand how important that is to me. If you've got a product, I don't want you to take a million years. Don't wait for perfection. One of the biggest entrepreneurial errors is waiting for perfection, right? So I'm not also telling you to just roll it out without any foresight. I'm just saying, it's one of the best psychological things you can ever do for yourself is to get a buy button up there if you have a product. If you do not have a product, go ahead and set something in, that's temporary, or that's maybe not what you have, and maybe you want to flip the site. But even if you're flipping the site and it's not your product and you're building it for someone else, you still have to proceed as if it's for a real product, right? Okay, so then we got into defining your market. Now, the defining of the market, for those of you who missed what Matt has talked about, a lot of what's going to be happening today, there's a fine line between everything we're doing here in week 2. Defining your market, Matt got into that quite a bit. We're going to get into it more, so if you missed that, don't worry too much about it. But what we're going to focus on this week is finding the pain in the market. What makes our process unique that you probably won't find anywhere else on the planet? In fact, I know that you won't. Is when we combine the process of looking at the market and the data from the market with keyword extraction. So what that means is that you can find the pain. We're going to show you how to actually find the pain in the market by using free web services. You can use our Pain Finder software tool if you want. If you're a basic member or greater, you should have access to the Pain Finder tool, I believe, which is something that I developed, and then Sue had spec'd out and we created, and Matt contributed in the early versions of that as well. He contributes to almost everything that we do, and is a huge aspect of developing the business processes. This is very important to understand because the opportunity to be able to work with him is pretty huge, I have to say, in terms of, I coach with him all the time. I get coaching still on this stuff. And Matt also developed, just so you guys know, the new guys, Matt, who you're actually getting some coaching time with, developed.
Make me blush, eh?
Yeah, he invented the.
Making me blush.
Okay, yeah. He actually developed the DWS Any Silo Builder software. I guess the reason I'm kind of getting into this with you is that there has been students that I've spoken to that didn't realize that Matt actually developed the framework and the software. It would be as if, when you were working with Microsoft Word or something, that, like when you called the help desk or you hired a coach or something, the person had actually developed Microsoft Word. You know what I mean? It's like way different than somebody. So that's what makes our certification training so unique. There's not a lot of services out there that are doing that. I just wanted you guys to be aware of, his role and everything, and because it's very helpful when working with a coach to understand that, they built the damn thing, so to speak. Okay, so let's look at the find the pain in the market, FAQ, SAQ. Okay, my point is that we're jumping from, once you find out whether something's a vitamin or painkiller, and I'm going to walk you through each one of these steps today. I'm going to get off this map shortly for those of you who hate giant, overwhelming maps. The whole point of creating the FAQ, it's a twofer, you guys. We're going to find out the frequently asked questions and the should ask questions around the product and or product pains. Okay, and you can see how it's all stacked, how difficult that is if you don't have a product. You need to pick one or even fake it. Otherwise, you can't find the frequently asked questions and or the should ask questions around a product. All right. If you've invented your own product, for example, like Joshua has, which is really excellent because it becomes pretty easy then to deal with. I'm using one of the student examples, and I know he doesn't mind because he doesn't mind shameless self-promotion, as he really shouldn't. So Joshua's created the Millionaire Creator program, Millionaire-Creator. So we already know. He's probably got a pretty good idea of the types of people that buy this program, and he may or may not know the should ask questions at this point. He may know the frequently asked questions of people who buy Millionaire Creator program. Like, I hung out with T. Harvey Eker and a few other kind of millionaire, or the whole secret people as well. I hung out with Bob Proctor in my early years and these kinds of things. So, I'm sure that Joshua has too. So he knows that there's a certain self-help. There's a market segment or share that's out there on all this stuff. And you can kind of look at, yeah, I've met a lot of people. I hung out with Tony Robbins too, Joshua, and Frank Kern. Name dropping. Shall I keep going? Yeah, my life has been interesting. Then we got into software and nobody would talk to me anymore. You know what Frank Kern, Joshua, you know what Frank Kern said to me about Theme Zoom QLKT? He said, I've been paying your $1,000 price point for 6 months now. What the heck does it do? This is me sitting on his couch in his apartment. He's like, I still don't understand what it does. Well, that's why we're creating process maps for you guys. So let's go ahead and go into the members area so that I just wanted you guys to know that right here is what we want to find: the frequently asked questions and the should ask questions around products. I may use Joshua's as an example so we have a real tangible solution. If you know what people are frequently asking about not only about your product, but the topics that your product, the pain that your product solves, then you can go ahead and you can use Pain Finder to find those keywords, and then we'll be able to extract those keywords on a nice list. And this is the part that people don't spend a lot of time with because they get what I call tool addicted. They go into Word Tracker or even our keyword tools and then spend thousands of hours in there hoping that the tools are going to tell them what the pain in the market is. Okay, I got as close as I could with Pain Finder to build a tool that would help you find out what the pains in the market are, but you still have to decide whether or not those pains are associated with your product. Okay, so for instance, if Pain Finder pulled back, how to make $1 million in 2 hours, if that was an actual question on Quora or anywhere else, that may or may not be a question that might be a frequently asked question, but it certainly probably is not a should ask question. Okay, so that's where the transformation from the frequently asked question to what you should be asking yourself is, how do you create a sustainable income, building an evergreen business, or something like that. This is just that may not even be correct. All right, I'm just giving you an example. You guys know what I mean by frequently asked to should ask. Let's go back. Let's go right into the members area. When you log in, I'll show you how to use this. When you log in, you'll see solutions to pains. Your product services are a solution to the pain in your market. There's a nice video for you guys to watch here. I would suggest that you do watch it. I believe that some of this was pulled out of the live certification event. As you guys know, it's it's actually $20,000 post-December event. I tried to pull as many concepts out of there into here to Matt and I both do in order to help prepare you for a live event. And I try to cut off the fluff so you guys get right down to the nuts and bolts of it. This is a little video on the perpetual lead magnet machine. And what we're looking at here is I wanted you to be aware, first and foremost, where it is that you are. Let me go ahead and pull up I think I had these all prepared for you on the other screen here. I'll just go ahead and pull that up for a second. Give me a 1 if you guys seen this before, and 2 if you haven't. If you already have, we'll rush through it so as not to waste your time. Are you familiar with this thing? It's in the members area. Joshua's seen it. Anybody else seen it? 1 yes, 2 no. It's okay. I'm just getting in general. You're not being tested. Okay. Mark has not. Okay. Good. That's okay. This is something that Matt and Sue and I created in the early years. Actually, about a year and a half ago. It's still evergreen. We wanted to show you where we're at now as the ISDNA creation. Okay. ISDNA creation is, again, the pain in your market. So here's a little kind of cute little diagram, and I did it because I wanted you guys to understand that Network Empire, Theme Zoom, all of our companies, the way that Matt and Sue and I teach is all about creating a bridge from the machine world to the human world. And you'll find that a lot of the training systems out there, they'll focus on technology or they'll focus on the human. They don't really give you a path to bridge the gap between the highly technical machine world and the human world. And as you can see, the internet is becoming fast a broadcasting. This is where we get into the idea of broadcasting versus SEO. SEO is more about technical gaming and or search ranking gaming, which is really about any tips, tricks, or techniques that you can use to undermine and or fool robots, right? You guys all remember things like, link cloaker and cloak jacker and jack cloaking and steal this ranking and all these other things, right? That's all the machine world, and there's lots to be learned. Please understand that I'm not downplaying the machine world. There's nothing wrong with SEO. Okay, search engine optimization is most definitely machine world focused. Okay, it's machine world focused. All right, now the aspect that we're teaching, the social medias and the what we call persuasion architecture, is really human. It's about help me, I have a problem. Here's a painkiller. Here's a money keyword. You have to ask yourself several things. It's a really tricky and interesting thing. You have to ask yourself first and foremost, is what your customer is looking for, can it really be found on the search engines? Can it really be found on the search engines? And I find it really interesting that Mark York is with us, who is one of the developers of, he in the early years was very much involved with B2B. I can't remember the name of the site, but I actually hung out with them. It was, yeah, Thomas Net. Thanks, Mark. I hope you don't mind if I expose you, but that's really impressive. This is a very large organization that I worked with, you know, in SEO Conference 2007. They're all B2B online, and what I found very interesting about their presence there is that they provided listings and different things at the time. They were still at the SEO conference, but really not so much to get involved in SEO because they had a whole universe of their own kind of carved out. Why? Like, really look at that. I think it's really appropriate that Mark's here because that was one of my early years of realizing, hey, not everybody searches for stuff on the damn search engines. You guys understand? In other words, buyers for gold-plated titanium ball bearings are probably not going to type that stuff into the search engines. They have their own buyer processes. Now, they might not. Doesn't mean that you don't want a listing or a ranking, but there's a whole process going on that doesn't necessarily refer or get helped by what we say consumer-based search engine ranking. So they were building their own search engine. Now, Mark's here, and he could probably give me a whole bunch of better insight and all that. I'm giving you guys a really superficial glance at all this. But hopefully you understand what it is that I'm saying and that you really do have to ask yourself that. Additionally, you also have to ask yourself, okay, if you're selling something that's $1 million, I had a client that made that his product was so huge, and he made a $1.2 million commission for one sale. It was a special contraption used for garbage disposable and toxic waste facilities. So you have to ask yourself, okay, he doesn't need the same amount of traffic that Matt will be teaching you to make a lot of money as, say, somebody selling an ebook, does he? So these are the things that you have to determine. These are we like to say in our lab, these are the things that you have to determine when you're looking at that, okay? So creating, this is the part that we're in. What we do is we move you upward in what's called a stackable system. Create your ISDN. Your ISDNA is your industry solution or your industry invention, okay? Your invention solution, your inventive solution. For people who have invented something, have a better insight into their product and what it is and the problem it is supposed to solve than people who have not invented something and who are just affiliates. I find this time and time again that a lot of affiliate marketers get involved with affiliate marketing, but they don't really understand the product. It's very, very useful at the end of the day if you are able to sell something that you understand or that has worked for you. Now, if you're super technical and you're machine world dominant, you're excellent at SEO, the amazing thing about SEO is that's very meta. It's metadata. You don't have to have any values, interests, or necessarily even any understanding of the product in order to rank for it. But what's interesting is when you're writing for the human world, what's happening now is there's a combination between writing for the human world and the machine world that is becoming important in understanding rankings. Every day that Google's moving towards Skyfall, we call it the Skyfall update, it's becoming more and more obvious that these types of things matter. It's a different topic, Skyfall, but you guys understand where we're coming from, okay? So we'll move you up from the keyword DNA, and we're going to talk about keywords. The reason we use vertical market keyword tools like Kraken is because we pull giant clusters and huge groupings of keywords. We believe in swallowing the market whole. In other words, give me every possible keyword tied to a theme and look at it. Pull that in as long as that keyword is a part of the frequently asked questions and should ask questions, so you know that you can get an idea of the total pile of money in the paid advertising around a particular keyword and their children. So that's how we view the universe. It's always through this giant pile. Siphon in everything you can. Look at its value. Look at the numerical relationship, the co-occurrence with that term, and then bring it back in. So we're going to move through that in later modules. I'm not going to get off the beaten path here. And if you ever get lost, just go back to where we are on the map. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and shut this because we were simply on this page that you guys need to, you're going to watch the video, you're going to go through this. This is what we're looking at already. And I have laid clearly down the tasks. Okay, clearly down the tasks. Now let's see if I can answer this question from Mark. What if you're selling a commodity? Is there really pain without commodity? Like women's perfume? Nope, and that's where we're going to get into the painkiller versus the vitamin, Mark. And it's actually one of the key components of our launch. In fact, if you go into your members area, folks, you can see that the first thing after you go through this, just the general introduction to solutions to the pain, which is just here. Sorry for giving you vertigo here. I shouldn't move around so fast. But just go ahead and click this button. It's going to take you to this page, the sidebar. This is called the painkiller or the vitamin. And this speaks directly to Mark York's question. And it's amazing how many people have found that this section is a pivotal point in their thinking about online development. I don't know what it is. It just apparently is something that people don't think about. Well, we should think about it. Why? Okay, here's why. I'm going to try this with you guys. If you go to the Google search engine listings, you have the natural listings on the free listings, right? The natural meaning free means they're not free. I hate using that term. It costs thousands of dollars these days to get them ranked sometimes if you don't know what you're doing. But they're not paid listings, right? Except for maybe that one at the top. Give me one if you guys know that. And on the right side there is paid, right? On the right side there's AdWords. Give me a 1 if you are familiar with that, or 2 if you didn't know that. Everybody know that? That there's, I know it's so basic, but I just got to do a head check in here. Generally speaking, your painkillers are the paid advertisements, and your nice-to-have Wikipedia articles at the top are vitamins. So the painkiller is gotta have it right now. Vitamin means non-essential, or nice-to-have meaning, if the world was ending in 10 minutes, it would be the last thing on my mind. Or if I had a super heavy-duty headache, I'm going to be thinking about aspirin and or something equivalent to it, and not necessarily a multivitamin. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay, like if you're in serious pain, you get in a car wreck and there's blood coming out of your head, you're going to be thinking about the emergency room. You're not going to be thinking about longevity or taking, human growth hormone to give yourself an extra 20 years. You guys understand what I'm saying there? I cannot tell you how important this is. It's so weird that people, for me, I thought this was Business 101, but then when I found out it wasn't, we added it because it is a significant part of the 4 research questions article, which is started off as a joke, and then when I realized that, we were having fun making this pain, we were using really terrible examples, like a car accident where you lose your hand versus, and then we realized that it wasn't funny. People don't understand the difference. Now, it gets even weirder. There are things that can be both, speaking to Mark's question. There are things that can be both a painkiller and a vitamin, right? Well, give me an example of that. A hard drive, for instance, could be positioned as I personally, as a neuromarketer, I personally believe that everything can be positioned as a painkiller if you're creative enough. I know that's really crazy, but it just depends on the situation. Sometimes it's close to impossible, but things like hard drives can be a painkiller or a vitamin based on time continuum, okay? Time continuum. For instance, a hard drive is nice to have if everything's running and going fine, but as soon as you have a memory error and your report is due an hour from now and you lose your hard drive, it suddenly becomes an extreme painkiller. You're going to be rushing to the computer store and trying to get FBI level encryption done, removed from your, trying to find the, the binary code on your hard drive and try to get it all reversed. If you have $1 million, if you have $1 million of information on your hard drive and you lose it, this is what banks have constant backup. So the point is that the line between a painkiller and a vitamin is really extreme. Does that make sense, you guys? Give me a 1 if I can move on from that. What I'd like to do is check and see, you are going to have a challenging time with making money faster on the internet in terms of single buy buttons if you're not clearly positioned as a painkiller or vitamin. And vitamins have a more difficult time only because they require more hoops. For instance, there's a pretty good video down here by a gal I like, by Robin Ward. She talks about Facebook being a vitamin. I find really interesting that Facebook is no longer a vitamin because it's achieved cultural inception, and now people are addicted, but they're addicted for different reasons. They're now addicted because it was a vitamin that was turned into a painkiller by social and cultural acceptance, and now it's become ubiquitous with people's day-to-day communication, so it's now a broadcasting mechanism. But essentially, Facebook, I don't know if you guys know this, but Facebook's business model was dubious from the beginning. In fact, any social media networks, how many social media networks have gone under? Besides a lot. Okay. Why is it? Well, it's a vitamin-based business model. It's nice to have until they achieve ubiquity, or is ubiquity a word? Yeah, ubiquitousness. Until they achieve that, there's no guarantee of money. That liquidity event that they went towards was very dubious for many years. I mean, do you guys remember all the ones that went under? There's several. I can't even remember their names. You know, like, what's that social? You know, I'm sure you could toss out a social media network that no longer is around. Orkut, yeah. There's even another one that's MySpace is still around barely, but this because the vitamin model was not monetized properly, and the investor funding. So this is an example. Let's get back into the meat here. What you can do here is you can go to the $4 million research. This is one of the first steps. And it's an important step to understand how you're shaping yourself. It's an oldie but goodie, this document. So keep in mind we were still working on Kraken version something. And the main thing here to understand is that there's basically 4 questions you need to ask. I'm going to roll right through it. Is it a vitamin or painkiller? And the questions are pretty simple. This is something I was working on with Eben Pagan back in the early years with this. And $1 million question 1, is your product painkiller? Okay, or is it a vitamin? If you want more information on this. Okay, tangibles, information, product, services. Really get clear. And here's another thing you can say is an advanced version of that question is, can my product or my client's product be repositioned as a painkiller in any market? If you're a vitamin, you might want to start thinking about possible, it doesn't have to be like surgery level pain, but you might want to go deeper into the issues around that pain. I was talking to Perry Marshall this morning about his, and I actually thanked him for in the conversation, about the white paper. He has a book out there called White Papers, Moving Beyond the White Paper or something. He actually published it in 2009. It was incredibly helpful for my business. And I thanked him for that this morning because it really is in our conversation, because it was really very useful for me in understanding that white papers are about the vitamin aspect and the positioning, like the academic aspect and positioning. But he taught me in those early years with his manuscript, which I remember I fully printed it out and everything. He taught me to flip the scholarly vitamin perception of a product or service and zoom in on the painkiller. Now, he didn't use those words, but they were really, really important. And what we were talking about this morning was whether or not his white paper could be, I mean, that white paper book could actually be entered into Wikipedia or be given a semantic markup code, which we get into these kinds of things in our more advanced courses. And so it always feels good to thank somebody who's, given you help in the early years. Okay, so can you reposition your product as a painkiller? Okay. Another thing, question number 2 is it irrational passion? Now, this is the one I got from Eben. And would your prospect be experiencing irrational? I love this one. You can ask Sue and man, I'm into the irrational passion side because probably you guys know why. Because it flies in the face of the machine world. It's like your robots will avail you nothing when it comes to human addiction. Okay. At this point, ultimately the robots serve human addiction. You'll probably never hear anybody say that like that, but hey, it's me. What I mean by that is that when you have thousands of, when you have tens of thousands of people per year spending the majority of their lives editing Wikipedia pages for free just because it gives them a little bit of clout on the internet, That's addiction. I'm sorry, but it just is. You know what I mean? If you've got somebody spending, that's irrational. A Wikipedia editor, Jonathan Gibbs, I think, I have to spell out his name, who is edited almost 14% of the entire Wikipedia website. That's not rational. Like he's not paid for it. He's doing it because it makes him feel good and he's into it and he's addicted to it. That's irrational. Another example of irrational passion, anything, it doesn't have to be like that kind of irrational. It doesn't have to be like a sex addict who surfs, pornography 9 to 15 hours a day of his waking hours and loses his job because of that. That's the extreme. Addiction is the extreme form of irrational passion, okay? It can be things that are, upper class addiction, like wine enthusiasts. Like if a magazine can be made out of it, probably your market and or your business is in an irrational passion. The keyword buy guitars, for example, that's a pain. You would think that guitars are a vitamin, right? Well, when do vitamins become, can you become addicted to vitamins? You actually can. Depends on the effect that the vitamin has on your body. Taurine, for instance, is actually technically an amino acid, which is included in certain vitamins, but then Red Bull added their own ingredients, and suddenly it's one of the most addictive drinks there are, right? I'm just giving you guys some examples of how to think about the taurine company could position themselves really well, couldn't they? So this is what I'm really looking at. Guitar world, here's an example. What do you think, guys? Is a guitar a vitamin or a painkiller? Why don't you put that out there? Just type that in. Okay, somebody's saying vitamin. Yeah, somebody says painkiller. I just love it. Like half and half of you are basically give me, and it totally depends, doesn't it? You got to find someone's obsessive compulsive disorder, so we get into that. But here's the general thing. I love irrational passion, the way that Eben positioned that concept, because it's not necessarily an addiction. It's just irrational. So you got to find that line. I view if we were to create a gradient. Yeah, the main thing is we have actually a really, really super skilled guitar player with us right on this call today, Welton, who I've known for a couple of years now, when we had our first, and he knows damn well that guitar playing is an addiction. So do I. I'm really bad at it, but I am heading back to Nashville, Weldon, for the OMG, so I get to go into my family estate, and all my mom's guitars are hanging on the wall. There's like 6 of them. She's a professional. I would say that, let me just put it this way. Guitar playing is 100% irrational. You play a slack key guitar, don't you, Welton? Slack, or are you just regular guitars? Yeah. I saw your website, though. No, you wish? Okay. I thought you were a slack key player since you're in the islands. But anyway, bottom line is, guys, look at these guys. They're rock stars, but it's irrational. You know how I know that? If you go to the web, you can see, you can download all the tablatures, and you can see how many people are interacting, and they're just volunteering, they're helping each other. It's totally irrational. Okay, so go ahead and look through that. So that's the second question. The third question that you want to do is, are they searching? I know that seems like a dumb question. Are they searching? But I have had people bring me irrational passions that, again, we talked about it, about one of the sites that Mark had worked on in the early years, the B2B, Thomas B2B and the rest, is industrial parts supplying and information moderation between business to business, is there an irrational passion in there? Is there going to be a hobby magazine on platinum gold industrial ball bearings? Probably not. It's just my guess. There could be. I'm not going to, there might be vertical marketing rags, okay? There might be vertical market magazines. I'm not saying that. There's not. Like even SEO has its vertical market magazines. And, it can get kind of irrational. So it's a really fine line to be thinking that. But there are things that they may not be searching for. I've had clients bring me where the words online are just, let me give you an example. If you're actually in my early years, when I worked in Wisconsin Dells in Wisconsin, and I helped start a website, which is now a multi-million-dollar website called Dells.com, not to be mistaken for a Dell.com computer. You have to add the S. One of the clients there, who I used to go door to door selling ad space on that website, this was like 14 years ago. She was actually a crochet and embroidering shop. And it's not that there weren't, at the time, there might be now, and there's a lot more, things have gotten much more social since then. But there was literally no reason for her to be worrying about search engine optimization, since most of her market were, honestly, little old ladies. And little old ladies were just not surfing the internet at that time. Now today, it might change things. Things have gotten a lot different. But you get my point, right? Hopefully you guys get my point. Make sure you're actually online. Seems obvious. Okay, so you can check. This is where we're showing you how to check the market. Okay, so I'm not going to let's just go to the last one. Number 3. And the last one is number 4. The last one is, are there very few choices? So if you have determined that they are online, is the competition low? I mean, that seems kind of obvious, right? Low competition. Now, we're doing all this differently than just basic keyword like KEI or anything like that. We're just looking at your market. Make sure that if you've got a lot of choices that you're competing with, like, Mark said, a commodity, you're going to have some challenges. Like, at that point, you need to take a pivot point into brand distinction. You have to offer something new. For example, there are a lot of SEO, traffic, and online business technologies out there. What is Network Empire's clear distinction? Okay, what is that? Can you guys make a guess of what the neuromarketing department over here at Network Empire has created as the position and the distinction? Toss it out there if you have any ideas. I had to, because SEO is a huge field. Any ideas? Okay, that's all right, no ideas. Essentially, our distinction is total integration of all of your systems into one single personal empire and broadcasting network. Yeah. Yes, that's what Mark said. Mark got it. Combine many components together. We're all about integration. I decided that the pain on a web that is literally a chaos engine at this point, in my personal opinion, is being I call that voice of reason. My favorite distinction is VOR, voice of reason, especially in the jungle of technology. So gives you a little bit of an idea of how I positioned our company and successfully create a distinction from everybody else out there, which is clearly happening. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and go back to, let's close this. So what you're going to need to do is maybe look at this. Now, what I did create for you, and this is part of your homework, is a process of, in case you don't want to read a 4-year-old ebook, it's still evergreen and it had been modified. Here's some additional questions that are going to help you that we came up with as the internet evolved. We found other ways. Does your product have its own magazine? You can go ahead and copy this and check, have your own copy. Feel free to take this. This is so important, you guys. I can't even tell you how much money I've made just checking these things out. Does it have its own magazine? Does it have, even if it has one, like Guitar Hero or whatever it is we saw, okay? If it's got more than one, you are in an awesomely irrational market. An example of this would be wedding planners versus wedding cakes. Did you know that there's a magazine for wedding planners? There is also a magazine for wedding cakes. That means weddings is in the vertical. Remember, in Kraken, you can drill into weddings and find out what all the topics and themes are on. Matt actually takes care of this for you guys. In this role, we actually do the vertical market drill for you. That's what makes this so powerful. Does it have its own social media platform or hub? Did you know that wedding planners have their own social media network? That kind of blew my mind, honestly. I was actually researching that for this course for somebody. It actually has its own social media platform, and I actually believe I gave you a link to that in there. You'll be able to watch the video where I show you the wedding planners social network. Does it have its own television reality TV series like Cake Boss, American Idol? If so, it's entering into the realm of irrational. Okay, survivalists, is that irrational? Survivalism? Give me a 1 if you think survivalist and survivalism is irrational, and 2 if you think it's not. Yes, totally irrational. If you upload a meme image related to the industry, does it get shared by other people? Is it an environment that's highly shareable? Do people make and upload their own YouTube videos on the topic even when they appear to make no money doing so? Remember the Wikipedia editors? $0. They're getting something else. It's a different currency exchange they get. Is there a bunch of active forums discussing the topic or theme? Is there an emergency hotline for this topic or theme? That's actually important. Is there a club or association related to this topic or theme? Okay, number 3. One thing I would like to point out here, you will actually begin to find if something is a painkiller. I mean, you can take this to the literal level. Is the industry highly regulated? Okay, I had a couple of my internet marketing associates who were really into ephedrine in 2004, and then it became illegal in the United States. Was it 2005? Maybe you guys know that. One of my internet marketing friends, I'm not going to mention his name because every single one of you know him, had $500,000 of ephedrine sitting in dry dock in Florida, and it couldn't come into the country because it became illegal on its way over here. I only bring this up because regulation is a highly important issue, but it's also a sign of a painkiller. So I would like to just toss out there to you guys that a painkiller, if you have something that's highly regulated, try to find a pivot point where you can use the alternative that will not become regulated. Alternatives are really, really good. Like, for example, alternatives to tobacco or like herbal smokes, vaporizers, or, will they become regulated? There's all these issues, but just be careful and look into that. It's very, very important. Okay. All right, good. So that's going to be a key component of you going through your assignments. Go ahead and watch these videos. I actually walk you through how to use magazines.com. Magazines.com has been helpful to me since 2006. My first lecture on silo keyword architecture with Katzenbach, I think, who's now running Amazon Selling Machine. The first conversations we had in the webinar was we still use magazines.com to determine irrational passion in a vertical market. That has not changed. Now, isn't it interesting, guys, that it has not changed? Again, evergreen. What is it about? What is going to last longer than the recent algorithm updates in the machine world? Human behavior. Thus, neuromarketing is a factor. This is why we give you some basic introduction on that. Here's also the wedding shows and everything. Wedding Planners Association of America. Here's irrational things like Star Trek fans. For instance, there's a couple that got married using a Star Trek wedding band. That makes Star Trek a super irrational passion, right? So you want to include that knowledge into what it is that you're doing. Okay, excellent. So once you move past your painkiller phase, you're going to create your ISDNA and your FAQ, SAQ. Matt, are you still with me? Or did you go put the kids into bed? Okay, no problem. I just want to make sure. No, that's okay. I just need a little bit of a reminder. I've gone through. We have another week for ISDNA FAQ, right? I just want to make sure.
Today we speak about it.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, yeah. I'm looking at our chart here, so we're just going to cover it all here.
Yeah, today what they learned today, Russ, they have to apply to get the keywords for the.
Yeah, good. I just want to make sure that we were supposed to go all the way into their homework assignment on that. Okay, cool. Thanks. Just double checking. All right, so.
Okay, I'm just on mute.
Yeah, just go ahead. No worries. Yeah, we've had actually three stacked certification courses of 3 different kinds that I'm running in parallel, and I need a lot of brain drugs in order to maintain my memory of which one where we're at any time. So, nootropics, got to keep taking them. All right, so that being said, we're going to move right on to your next section. This is let's close the research area here. Let's go into your ISDNA. Okay. Now, this is where I did give you a video that I really enjoy on the innovator's dilemma, because the challenge that I find, and it took me about 3 years to figure this out, if people have not invented their own product, for instance, like Joshua did with the Millionaire site, with his product on success coaching, Think and Grow Rich type genre, and or beyond, not to limit you to that, Joshua, then they tend to have a real hard time with what I call the scientific or the innovator's mindset. They don't really understand the problem their product has solved, so they can't really create great keywords. It's really weird. Like, I know it's like spooky, but it is a fact. So even, I'm not suggesting that you have to have your own product. I am saying that you might need to put on a different type of thinking hat if you have not created the product or you're just an affiliate, not just as in merely and only, but meaning that you didn't create the product, okay? So, for instance, go through this go through the slideshow where I actually show you what an industry, without a solution, you have no business. And this, again, gets seriously into what Mark was talking about. What about commodities? What about things that are not a painkiller? What about a vitamin? You have to ask yourself, can you reposition yourself? Questions are the answer, right? So we already talked about the ISDNA, the foundation. So a cybernetic business system will include all the things that I showed you. We already went into this. Let's go ahead. But the purpose of the ISDNA is to help you create and develop a bundle or define your innovative solutions and products and services and to a starving market that will not hesitate to buy. Okay, and the other purpose of ISDNA is to then help you extract the appropriate FAQ keywords. Let me just pull this up. That should help you guys out a little bit. Sorry about that. I was going to try to avoid getting into slideshows, but you know, sometimes it's just the best thing. This is something that we actually pull out at the live certification event during the very, very, very early stages of it. We want you to extract your FAQs for latter analysis, help you expand the current FAQ keywords to broader topics and themes by enhancing the original questions. We call these should-ask questions. I want to give, actually, the FAQ to SAQ concept was taught to me by Mike Koenig in the early years. He had a good idea. Does anybody familiar with a 4x4 or 12x12 matrix? Well, we took that as a software company, and what we didn't like is that it didn't really go anywhere except into guesswork. In other words, he didn't create that. Yeah, Mike is good. Mike didn't create that for keyword research or for machine learning, and we took it as a nice framework for start, and we greatly expanded. Like what you guys are getting is 5 levels deeper of thinking with his original seed idea. His original seed idea was for local. That was a great idea for authors to get kickstarted. We took it to a whole nother level of neuroscience, quite literally. And so we're going to be showing you that's really what this is all about. But before you begin, before I walk you through the spreadsheet and show you exactly how you need to have this stuff, just know that questions are the answer. I don't know if any of you have a scientific background. I was mentioning earlier in my conversation with Perry Marshall on the white paper concept and how much that helped me. Part of it was that I was very confused between we live in a very strange time, academia versus marketing. And it's all getting weirdly twisted around because of the internet, where now science is becoming, like if you can get your page on Wikipedia, then your product will have is almost like a scientifically validated, you know, aspect to it if you can cite your sources. So the main difference that you guys should be aware of between academia and the web is a huge fork in the road. When Google created PageRank in the early years, it was actually based on a system called web citation, and they forked and went into the commercial uses of large-scale search, whereas then website and a few of the other organizations went into what's called scholar-based search engines. Search engines like, you know, Google has them now, like Google Scholar. Is anybody familiar with Google Scholar? So like there are still these scholarly search engines, and guess what? Google ain't it. If you go to Google and you try to get the citation of a source of in your own book, you'll have to go to Google Scholar to make sure that you get credit as a researcher and peer-reviewed researcher in a journal to get a validation for that citation, and you have to have the proof that you were a part of a university for that paper. So that's why things are kind of weird, is that we've moved from this social proof. The search engine is primarily social proof based on robots. And that's not really that great when it comes to people trying to figure out whether they should be marketing or providing facts. Well, we're solving all that for you. So just remember that the scientific method is to observe and explore, to ask questions, select a question that can be answered, experiment or observe to answer, reflect on what happened, and then ask more questions. So that's what I mean, question are the answers. Like, watch what's happening. This is how we approach scientifically search engine algorithms, right? Like Skyfall or anything else, or the Panda updates. Ask a question. Is it really true what these 4 different people are saying, that the reason all the private blog networks failed this week is because they were all on the same or similar hosting? All right? Select questions that can be answered through this investigation. Well, that may or may not make sense because we have this, 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 and this. This was a new site. And you can look at all the variables, right? Experiment or observe to answer the question. Well, okay, in our evidence, that propaganda campaign that somebody just published is like utter bunk, or not, or it's not. It's partially true, or it's right for the wrong reasons, right? Reflect on what happened. Well, what happened is it looked like this, but it was really this, and it's understandable why this misconception was created. Here's why it's wrong. But I wonder if, using cloud hosting to cloak my IP address, you would work, whatever it is. Point is that you observe and explore, and round she goes. Create a scientific endeavor when you're creating your products, all right? And also just keep in mind that people are looking for that as well. Questions are the answer. Best products are created by asking questions about a problem and using innovations to solve it, but it is possible to ask the wrong questions and create a bad product nobody wants to buy. Okay, the ultimate goal of ISDNA process is to help you leverage the paradox of the innovator's dilemma while simultaneously solving it with your publishing efforts online. Okay. One thing that Henry Ford said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. The innovator's dilemma is the fact that disruptive technologies tend to be dismissed before they are recognized by industry leaders. Okay, Facebook would be an example of that. There is all kinds of different examples, and it's complex. But the reason we're going through this is to help you look at your own products. You can look at this video. I'm not going to go through this. Let me just brush through this because you guys can watch this on your own. Let me get to the part that's important. Okay, the main thing here, this will be useful. The main thing is to make sure that, let me go back here. You collect the frequently asked questions. Frequently asked questions could be things on the search engines, for instance, right? This is why we have the Pain Finder software. You can actually type in a keyword once you know what your keyword is. Even if you don't know what your keyword is, we're not yet presuming that you're going to give a keyword to Matt, because you got to make sure that your product is congruent with the frequently asked questions and the solutions you're providing. If you hand, garbage in, garbage out. If you hand Matt a keyword for the Kraken drill and for your silo creation process that you only think is related to the words that your customers are searching and the pains that it's solving, then you could get a blueprint that's literally not connected to anything that matters to your market. So that's what we're trying to prevent happening here. So by collecting frequently asked questions, by collecting SAQs or should ask industry questions, and by zooming in on the gray area between these two polarities and creating controversy with a better question, you're able to kind of own your industry. Okay, a should ask questions is an example of a should ask question, which we're going to go into. Actually, let's wait till the spreadsheet for that. It's really what we discussed with, for instance, Joshua's thing. If one of the common questions out there, and it really is because money is a huge pain in the world in general, there's a huge poverty market of people just trying to make a quick buck, from Business Opportunity Magazine to, which again, there are not necessarily all bad opportunities in there, but there's all kinds of get-rich-quick schemes out there. If your position is to help somebody move past that, and you find a should-ask question, for a frequency-asked question, like we discussed earlier, of how can I make $1,000 by tomorrow morning? Okay, unless you have a proven, guaranteed, and lawsuit-free method of helping somebody do that, you might want to find a should-ask question. And the reason that's important is when we extract that keyword and/or question, how can I make $1 million by 9 a.m. Okay, tomorrow morning? Let's pretend, and it's not, but let's pretend there were 50,000 phrases and questions in various organizational structures and differently positioned, all with that question. Okay, and there probably are, or maybe something more focused. You could actually include that on an FAQ on your site, and then you would actually provide a should-ask question. Your answer would actually be gently guiding somebody to the fact that their question was stupid, if there is such a way to do that. Does that make sense? Or that their question is the wrong question, or that, hey, great question, it was a better question. Give me a 1 if you guys understand that. This is the place where I lose everyone. I do not want to move past this point until we are clear on this point, and it will become more clear on the spreadsheet. Is everybody clear with me on this? It is the place that we lose people. And the reason it's weird is that some people will come back to me with a transition from a frequently asked questions to a should ask questions. It can't be, what's the word I'm looking for? Self gratuitous. There's plenty of examples. I just gave you one, Johnny. Okay, how can I make $1 million by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.? Let's say that that's a very popular, frequently asked question. Okay, a should ask question would be, what would it be, Joshua? Give me for Joshua's business, let's give you a real example. If that was an example of a frequently asked question, how can I make money by tomorrow morning? How would you reposition that, Joshua, to be a should ask question? What should they be asking for your program? Do you have an idea? I'm giving you one example, and we'll give you several others. First, I want to use a student example. Why doesn't anybody type it in? Yeah, there you go. Joshua has a great answer. How can I make a substantial, wow, let me take a sip of my coffee here. How can I make a sustainable income? That might be. And when you're done with this process, we'll know. Additionally, Johnny, we're going to provide you with examples here. And I'm going to pause this here. In the long term. What was that, Welton? And again, the positioning from a frequently asked questions to a should ask question has to be you-centric, but it can't really be, it shouldn't be all about positioning your product as something that's not anything to do with an actual functional solution. So we'll get into more examples. Let me just get to this last. By providing better answers to the questions and problems, you really actually want to help people, and or your product needs to actually help people. If it doesn't, you can't make a should ask question. Now there are some times, what happens in the instance where a frequently asked question and a should ask question are the same? Well, then you can leave that as a standing question. Now we're going to get right into that. I'm going to show you some examples because Johnny had just requested that as well. I'm going to give you examples. And Welton, you actually did a great answer. Joshua answered, how can I make a sustainable income in the long term? That was what he thinks is what somebody should be asking rather than how can I make $1 million by tomorrow morning. Now, it's not that it's the frequently asked question. People are constantly looking for ways to make money. There's many frequently asked questions around money. That market is the hardest market because there's nothing wrong for people asking impossible questions. It just may not be an actual answer, but there's plenty of people waiting around to give you an answer that they want to hear. So you want to be the voice of reason. The voice of reason doesn't lie. It provides actual results and that's the main thing. Welton actually came up with, what can I learn or buy, study today to make $1 million in 18 months? That's not a bad question. If you feel you have a product or service, Welton, that actually answers that question, the process of making, and you've actually done it, in other words, you have proof, then that would be a vital should ask question. What can I learn or buy or study today to make $1 million in 18 months? Okay, that's not a bad repositioning, Welton. So thank you for that. Let me give you guys some real examples like Johnny was asking for. Johnny's asking, SAQ is more realistic questions. Well, not realistic is actually one avenue you can take, Johnny. I like that. But it's not always realistic. It might be correcting an error. There's several transition phases. So let me start by giving you guys an example of my own experience with this. And it's a little weird because I come from an inventor perspective. If you haven't invented something, it might be a little difficult for you guys, but you can still get the gist of it. You have to pretend that you've invented the thing that you're selling. And sometimes if you get too much into this, you realize that you don't like the thing that you're selling and you'll stop selling it. But that's just really up to you. If you're a really excellent SEO, you can make money selling anything, including crap. So that's really what it is that you got to decide is like, just know that when you're going into it, if you're selling a product that's crap, then just know that it's crap going into it. Because then you'll not invest a lot of time in doing this process, if you know what I mean. So you can still use it in terms of propaganda, but be very careful because it's very powerful. So here's an example. Here's one of the frequently asked questions that we had in the early years with ThemeZoom 1.0. What is keyword research? Like, this is back in the day, okay? Just want you guys to know where I'm coming from. Students kept confusing keyword research tools from data for market research. One of the huge challenges that we had, and you guys probably are getting the gist of it, because today we've talked more about market research, haven't we? We've just now only begun to get into keyword research, see? We haven't even got to the extraction point. Like, I haven't even talked to you about this column yet. This is an advanced maneuver. We're just basically determining what our market is and who we're talking to and who our audience is. Students kept confusing keyword research tools and data for market research tools and data. They mistakenly thought that keyword research, and still do today, by the way, that keyword research will help them decide if they should buy or build a specific business, which requires the vertical market research tools. We had people coming into our keyword tools, especially ThemeZoom 1.0, and spending days. What they were looking for was business opportunities. Of course, I understand that. Everybody knows the sniping method. Everybody understands that finding a keyword that has low competition but high market value is valuable, and I'm not saying that it's not. It's still valuable today. But a lot of the things out there being sold were being sold to students who were trying to make money online and make, $1,000 by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And they were looking for those easy keywords to snipe and rank for instantly and toss up an affiliate product. I mean, this is a very popular method. You guys know that. Somewhere all of us have seen that stuff, and we understand where that comes from. And so as a result, they would get caught. They would start using keyword research for data mining. And data mining for products is not bad. In fact, it's just part of the process. I mean, everybody wants to find that lump of gold or the billion-dollar keyword that nobody knows about, right? And everybody wants. But it's not. A lot of what's happening is they would confuse their keyword research for their market research. In other words, we had people coming to us trying to determine what keywords to put on their website, but what they were really asking was who is their audience, and that's what we want to avoid. We want you to know your audience before you come into the keyword research. And later on, we created the question behind the question, but we're not going to get into that just yet. Let's jump right to the should ask question here. Okay, and I've given you guys a blank worksheet so you won't be confused. The should ask question became, this is after we researched, this is after, guys, we extracted tons of questions from different sources. As you'll see in the remainder of that slideshow, there's a bunch of places you can look for these frequently asked questions. But the should ask questions you have to create and sculpt in-house, or you might borrow them from competitors, or you might just come up with them on your own. What we really found after talking about this in-house is what is the main difference between keyword research and market research. That became our battle cry, because once we had this, we realized that we could help people more. Because first of all, they didn't know what keyword research was, and they were doing it wrong in many cases, and they didn't understand that. They really didn't understand that keyword research is not really market research. Give me a 1 if you guys understand or agree with that, and 2 if you disagree, that you believe that keyword research is a part of market research. Okay, a little bit of everybody. Now most of you agree. That's the main difficulty, is that keyword research is not audience and or market research in that sense. Like, who's interested in buying your product? You're not going to find the who necessarily. You're going to find the fact that there is, here comes everybody. Okay, out of everybody on the giant piece of market pie in all industries, this many people, according to Google, if they're not lying to me on a bad day, says that there are 273 people per day clicking or typing in this term. Hopefully it's not a bot, right? That doesn't really help you with your market, your audience projection. You can get an idea by drilling into those sites, however, of, okay, let's go to the sites that are ranked for that and hope that they didn't do their keyword research poorly, and find out what they're selling and how they're talking about what they're selling. What are they teaching? What are they teaching? It's very different, isn't it? It's an entirely different mindset. Here's a little sneak peek for you guys, since we're being naughty. Like, totally nobody knows this. Just so you guys know where things are going and what we've been moving towards. And this Kevin was sharing, Kevin Pauly from our semanticwebtraining.com. So different are keywords from audience that schema markup has its own distinct, this is fairly new, but their own distinct handle for audiences in terms of broadcasting. Now, Kevin showed me this a while back, but now we're moving towards entire groups of people. Instead of just having a keyword on your site, you're going to need to mark up the schematic target of your market segment. You guys see where we're going? I mean, it's on its way. Like, This is why we're preparing you with all this stuff, because everything we're teaching you is evergreen. We'll be able to move all these. You'll be able to know what frequently asked questions and what you're teaching in the should ask question to what specific markets. Now, just want to give you a sneak peek that we understand how this stuff works, and this is where things are moving. So what is the difference between keyword research and market research? That became our, now what I do is I don't throw away the frequently asked questions. Please understand, you guys, I'm not saying, why are you asking such a stupid question? Everybody else is asking that. I'm not saying that. We're still using that. And you still put that on your website. Okay, and this can go on your website in any number of ways. It can go on your wiki, it can go in your, but what the point is that I'm going to extract the main keyword tied to my product. Are people interested in keyword research going to buy the last keyword tool, Kraken and ThemeZoom? Yeah, they are. Keyword research is definitely related to the performance of my product. It's related. If I want to get contrarian about it and say, okay, Kraken is a vertical market research tool, it's not a keyword research tool, that's somewhere in the realm of innovation, because we created Kraken to be more than just a research tool. So what we did is we extended what is the difference between keyword research and market research, right? That did two things. It helped explain our invention, because it had never been done before, pulling a single keyword in, bringing everything back, showing the relationship to those keywords to each other, giving a percentage of those keywords in their relationship to each other. That's not keyword research that people grew up with, right? So it's okay, and not only that, it's vertical. Okay, it's vertical. All right, and it could only be considered, and it's still not perfect market research. It's not really focused on audience, but helps you get an aggregate view of the words tied to a specific audience and or vertical. But even so, you guys understand where we're coming from. At that point, we then extract the keyword research and the market research. So we have these two keywords. So what you'll do is you'll just take your frequently asked questions that you brought from Painfinder, our software, or anywhere on the web, if you don't want to use Painfinder, and you start creating these lists for questions that obviously relate to problems and or issues your problems solve, deal with, or contain. If you're a vitamin, it's still the same thing. You don't have to worry too much. You'll have more intense questions if you're a painkiller. But if you're a vitamin, you'll still have plenty of questions to ask. Okay. Are there any questions up to this point? You guys do? Can I get a 1 if you guys get the general understanding between the distinction between a frequently asked questions and a should ask question? We're going to go through another one just so I give you guys a really interesting. Okay. So far we have. It's really good. I'm glad to see those ones. I can't tell you guys how hard it's been for me. I mean, there's been a couple of webinars where it was an epic fail, where I just could not communicate what was happening there. And since then, we've really had a good understanding with these examples.
This is so crucial, Russell. Like, I can't stress how crucial this whole process is.
Yes.
Because it makes the whole build process so much easier.
Yes.
Once you understand this and you get those answers.
Thanks, Matt. And when you guys do get into certification level 2, if you ever get there or decide to move on, in week 2 we have something called meme stacking and wrapping. What we're doing here is not that disparate or separate from meme stacking and wrapping, one of the more dangerous methods of stacking your ideas on. These are related, and a should ask question can definitely be and include an extension of or include a frequently asked question. It does not have to, though, okay? Sometimes the entire question should change. But again, don't forget, still use bad questions on your website as content, guys, and it has your keyword in it. So that's the biggest confusion. I had one student tell me when I looked, and all he had was a should ask questions on his website. And a lot of the should ask questions didn't contain popular questions. And I obviously didn't explain things right to him. I was like, no, you got to include your frequently asked questions or frequently asked questions. I'm talking industry frequently asked questions. Here's another one that I think is important. Here was a frequently asked question we got all the time until finally Sue just said, all right, this is a frequently asked question. It actually came in from our own help desk. Zendesk, by the way, you guys, is an excellent place to pull out frequently asked questions. I have more frequently asked questions at this point that I can handle just from our own internal help desk. So I don't really need to parse the web anymore for those. Okay. What is the safest and most powerful way to build links or SEO backlinks to my website? Now you can see This is a paraphrase of several questions in the database, but has what I believe to be the most relevant terms. SEO backlinks kept coming through our help desk. Building links, there's probably several other phrases, but when Matt works with you guys to build your DNA and everything, those other phrases will come through, so you don't need to worry about it. I don't want you guys to be thinking like you have to get every single keyword and synonym and pulse them, and that's what we have tools for. That's what we have computers for, right? But you get the general idea. You got to come up with a general human question. What is the safest and most powerful way to build links or SEO backlinks? So obviously I was able to extract SEO backlinks and backlinks. Now, Matt's going to be doing this for us on this particular course. You've got your drill. But what's so cool about Kraken and the last keyword tool is that they bring back every conceivable semantically related LSI and co-occurrence-based term. Okay. So here's what happened. This is something we added later, even after Mike Koenig taught me the 4x4 method. Summary of pains, confusions, problems, and needs behind new questions. This one was students are obsessed with backlinking. They will try anything. They're confused by many opinions and dangerous solutions on the market. They give priority to off-page, off-site backlinking factors and ignore on-site structure even though fewer backlinks are required. Give me a one if you resemble that remark. No, just kidding. We've all been there. I mean, backlinks is irrational passion. We would consider the backlinks to be irrational market. So irrational, in fact, that I find myself often cleaning up all kinds of messes. And ultimately not me, it's either Jimmy Kelley or Sue Bell or Matt. Why? Because there's all kinds of marketing out there. Okay, and it's a tricky subject. So after we have a unique insight. We're inventors, we're technologists, we're scientists. We have huge data sets. We understand what's going on. We have military level programmers. We have developers like Matt and Sue. So we're able to speak with authority just because we're notable on this topic and citable on this topic. Now that's a whole different topic of how to become notable and citable for another webinar. Point is that our question became, how do I rank higher on the search engine safely using far fewer inbound links using website silo architecture? Now, again, your should ask question should relate to your product, your service, and or your invention. And if you're lucky, your invention and your product or service is the same. If in the case of the Millionaire Creator Program, for instance, with Joshua, he's both the inventor and regardless if it's, remember, I'm not saying I include inventions synthesis. Okay, that means anything that you can use other things. I'm not saying that you have to come up with a unique patent or something like that. I'm saying anything as a product that you created, whether it's a synthesis, an info product, that uses other things and other components. We are not concerned about the patent or the anything like that. We're just concerned about you created it, you know why you created it, why you enhanced or created it. How do I rank higher on the search engines safely? Using far fewer inbound links, using website silo architecture. Now that could be one should ask question. One question that came in is, can I have more than one should ask question to a frequently asked question? Yes. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of a pointer here. You can see how I stacked it. How can domain authority stacking create extremely safe backlinks and skyrocket my rankings for all the keywords in my silo? You guys see that? That was 2. Let me just read Johnny's question here. Can I read that out loud, Johnny? Okay. Is this the right thinking process about it? FAQ, what is email marketing? Frequently asked question, how can I do successful email marketing campaign? Okay, those are 2 frequently asked questions. Should ask question, is my audience the right audience for marketing via email? Should ask question, is my product's benefits well propagated via email? Yes, you just nailed it. See, it works. Good job, man. Okay, so, but it's not easy, you know, it's like it's not obvious. It's so, there's a subtlety or a nuance there. Now, the other issue is how can, oh, by the way, Johnny, don't throw out those excellent frequently asked questions as well, right? That's all content. And you can use them to interplay and position them together in a podcast, context dependent, of course. Podcast, a video, a website, an audio, however you decide to position it. Use the contrast. It's great. It's great content. In fact, the contrast between a should ask question, a frequently asked question, and a should ask question is what interviews are all about. It's called contrarianism and or meme wrapping. You're adding creative value to something that already exists. It's already a cultural meme, and remember, questions are still cultural memes. if they're there, they might be wrong. Like there's bad memes, just like there's bad questions. You know, like who cares about Hello Kitty memes? I don't, but they're there, right? So use them if they're going to make you money. Did I just say that? Yeah, I just said that. That's fine. Hello Kitty makes you money. Okay, so if you have two should ask questions, you're going to have to decide when and where. Like for instance, we have a wiki page and we have a, for this course, for instance, Matt teaches website style architecture. We're teaching you that. How do I rank higher on the search engine safely using far fewer inbound links? This is really a huge benefit of this course. This is actually the benefit you're getting from many of our products, but not the only one. I wouldn't use this as much, say, in our domain authority stacking.com course, right? Because the focus is really on the audience that we've targeted is really already backlinking like bandits. They're already out of control backlinking. They are ready to backlink. They are ready to stack. They are ready to GSA. They are ready to bookmarklet. They are ready to automate and machine gun the whole world with links. Give them a nuclear link weapon and they'll use it whether it blows up their whole empire, right? So at that point, our cause is safety, and we want to, since safety is there, we come into a real issue. That is why we created the questions behind the questions. This was a major breakthrough. I had this breakthrough with Matt and Sue when we were in a workshop with a live certification student. And I don't know how it happened, but it would be like somebody asking this question: what is the best backlinking strategy and why? When you use the word best, best is not a specificity word, right? What he really meant, whenever you have to say, well, what he really means by best, whenever you have to say that, guys, that means you need to open your question behind the question column because you're interpreting. This is something that humans do that machines can't. Not yet. They're trying. I know because I watch all the research. I'm looking at artificial intelligence very deeply. But what does that mean? When they say best, what they're really saying is safely. I only knew that because I was sitting in the room talking to him. You understand what I mean? What he means is he didn't want to get his site de-indexed. Well, if I was a robot, I wouldn't have known that's what he's meant, and I would have answered it differently, and he still would have gotten his site de-indexed. You guys understand what I'm saying? Give me one. Okay, so the question behind the question is, okay, what is keyword research? The overwhelming majority of the people that we talked about with keyword research, what they really meant was, how can I avoid costly SEO mistakes when launching an online business? Okay, you're almost always safe with question behind the question. That almost all questions are hedges or they're uncertainty insurance. You know, that's why we ask questions. Questions are the answer. They lead us towards clarity. So if you need the question behind the question column, it means that the frequently asked questions are either too general or people aren't saying what they mean, or in a very ripe industry, they're not saying, they don't know what to mean. They don't know how to say what they mean because it's too new. So go ahead and enter a question behind the question. It can change at any time. What's the question behind that question? Well, it was really safety. How do I safely rank higher on the search engines? That's why they're backlinking, right? So the question behind the question can be the reasons for the question, the implied intent, what would the definition of success be. It's always nice to have these here because it keeps you on par with what it is that you're doing. Okay? So there's that. What's really cool is you can hand extract all of your parent themes as well. That's going to give people something to work with. It's going to be really, really helpful too when you hand them off to Matt. And ultimately, I want you guys to learn to do your own drills, your own research to carry this through. Okay. Now, we also added something called the pain behind the question. It's optional. We're going to get a little bit into it in later webinars. What if this is dealing with vitamin versus painkiller? Those of you who have painkillers, you're just going to love this because it'll help you view the person and the people, not the machine world, but the human beings behind that are typing stuff into the search engines, understand what's going on in their head. I actually talked to a couple people to find out what their pain was. Just imagine like it's a hospital. I mean, I didn't call our Panda Penguin recovery course Traffic Hospital by accident, guys. See what I'm saying? It's like intentionally called that because that's what it is. It's a pain resolution center by default because getting your site de-indexed is like the sheer definition of painkiller, right? I knew it was a painkiller, and I didn't expect it to be as popular as it is. We had to shut the doors. It's so popular. So, well, that means this is a lot of pain. Like it's, SEO Armageddon, and one morning, and then by the time they go to bed, they figured it all out and they know how to get their site recovered, and so that's really what we're looking at. But here's the pain behind the question: is nice to have on par, right? Getting my website banned, backlink penalties from Google could get me de-indexed, manual Google penalty could shut me down, wasting money on useless backlinks, SEO strategies, panda, pendulum, fill. These are all keywords that I extracted from the secondary pain behind the question. These are the hot painkiller terms as well. And they can also go on your site. They may not be within your silo architecture, or they might. And this is why you have to work it out and determine what it is it's going to be. Do you want to rank for SEO penalty or panda penguin filter, so on and so forth? Okay. Now what's nice about this is good for your marketing department. So I know you guys all have huge marketing departments, right? And you have huge operations departments. Now most of us here are between 5 and 10 man shops, as I look. So what's nice about this is when I went to write traffichospital.com and write the content on there, I've got, and again, so you guys know I'm not ranking traffichospital.com. I don't want it ranked. I'm not working on the rankings on that. It's got that's not the place that I'm promoting, so don't start looking at my SEO rankings on traffichospital.com. But what I want you to understand is that the marketing on here, these are the terms, these are the hot terms that then can go into what we call persuasion architecture, which we'll also be getting into several locations in this course. Persuasion architecture is how you overlay the persuasion, how the solution, the soothing balm of your solution within your website tile architecture that should be set up fairly well structured. It's also very, very nice to have on the, I've given you this far column, your target, your bullseye, your congruent painkiller. Keyword congruent, guys and gals. Congruent painkiller. What's the target you're focusing? What are you aiming at? What is it that you... Now, the challenge in my universe is I have more than one product. Damn it, right? Well, that's not a problem. It just means that when I get into the copy and the marketing, I know what I'm selling. You have to know what you're selling. And so what I've done is I've targeted everything that I'm selling is lined up on one horizontal line, all the way from the original questions, which are the original cultural interest in this problem, and then I've got the nice path all the way over for why human beings might be, what they're really asking, what they're searching for, what keywords are there. It's not all the keywords, guys. You don't have to stuff 900 keywords in this little box. Okay, just get the big basic one. Okay. And it's all the way into your unique solution that's going to position you. What is really nice about this column, folks, is that this is going to help you simultaneously do three things. It's going to help you meme wrap for better rankings with better questions and better content. It's going to position your brand, your product, and your solution as distinct. And it's going to lead to the development of your sales page. Isn't that interesting? Okay, good. So we've been on for, let's see, 1 hour. I'm going to go ahead and stop here for a second and just, is there anybody that has a question? Actually, looks like Joshua has put forward a SAQ for his particular product. We're using Joshua as website as the poster website because he put himself out there. Okay. How do I make a steady, strong turn? Here's a should ask question. Okay. What's the frequently asked question, Joshua? Okay. You're going to have to extract the keywords manually, Johnny. Johnny's asking how exactly to extract the keywords from the question. Here's the cool thing I want you guys to remember. These questions, you just simply find the question. Let me show you, Johnny. There's the keyword. How do I know that the keyword research is related to my product? Because I either created it, so then you just paste it there. Now please keep in mind that this is not, don't worry, there's plenty of software that we have that extracts thousands of keywords. I mean, I just had a guy in the automatic video traffic course, load 275 keywords into Video Crack and publish 200,000 articles in 5 days. Now we have to deal with the hosting. So I'm saying keyword research you got to be careful with. That's what I don't want to happen, actually. What I just described is actually happening over in one of our other courses. And part of that's my fault for not getting specific and running this person through that. Even when you're creating automatic traffic, you don't want to publish every single video and every single keyword like for 5,000 keywords. You only have to do this once or twice, but these will evolve, Johnny. Okay, in other words, this believe it or not, can I be honest about this? Yeah, I should. This FAQ to SAQ sheet that you guys are looking at right here is worth about $32 million in revenue. Okay, I'm just throwing it out there like a guess. I'm putting on a couple of years. It's more than 1 year. You guys get what I'm saying? $32 million. I need you to understand how much money is involved in my. Now, there's other things that we've done, but this, do I still come back to this? Yes, all the time. Now, I've got another version that I'm not sharing with the group that grows, but these keywords have been worth this much money in terms of understanding strategy, movement, and the rest. Okay? This is over the course of the time when we started our company and this and that. And it's been growing now. And we've got other should ask questions and frequently asked questions. I'm not just throwing around a hard number, for shock value. I'm just saying that when you look at the movement from communicating our message to jacking or utilizing frequently asked questions and expanding our brand and our innovation on that, it's worth at least that much. And it will be worth a lot more. And I just want to make you guys understand that this is not something that is set and forget. If it's your company and your brand, you're gonna keep it for a long time, and it's going to be there. Now, Johnny, if you're doing really fast stuff for clients, please do not do this process for anybody less than $3,000, guys. If you've got clients, please do not do this for less than $3,000. We got one guy's doing it for $5,000. They love it when they're done, and he also brings back reports and other things like that, which we get into in our more advanced courses. But I just want you guys to understand that it is very important, and you can do a quick prototype version as well. When you find the frequently asked questions, just know that you want to get those keywords extracted and then look around for those types of questions. If you, for instance, if you go into Pain Finder and you find several questions, you'll begin to see, let me go ahead and pull up Pain Finder. It's not something I normally demonstrate during the course, but let me go ahead and see if I can get that. It is a useful tool. And those of you who are members, I know that there are some of you who are not regular Network Empire members. You just bought the course. That's becoming more and more a phenomenon of what it is that we need to focus on. Let me just close that. So when you log into the members area, you can go to, let me just go to members area. All of your software that you have access to should be listed here. Okay, so just click on member software. And all the software that we have currently is lined up. And whether your package now, these do not disappear or appear based on whether or not you have your package at this time, although we're working on that. It's just going to be there, and you need to know what package you purchase. You can figure out the products that you have currently in one location. You have to be logged in. I just want to make sure you guys know this. This is something I came across yesterday, and didn't realize that sometimes people have a hard time finding out what they buy. So we're going to rearrange some things. But we have on Network Empire /blog, if you're logged in, you can actually see everything that you own or have purchased as products. So if you have any doubt, you should be able to see your products listed right along the sidebar, okay? Just go to networkempire.com/blog. Now, if you go into Pain Finder, is right here. It'll take you right to the Pain Finder login, and you should have your login on command. Let me just make sure if it works. So this is one of the applications that we have, and you can drill into vertical themes, but you can also drill into sub themes. You usually have better luck with vertical themes. So let's say you could put in like real estate and it would drill into, but generally speaking, these are only case studies. Let me see what we got going on here. Just to give you a little bit of an example. This currently pulls Quora, and we're working on other things. This is not the only tool that I would use to create your FAQ, SAQ, But let's say, for example, if you were drilling into real estate, like for Joshua's, I would drill into something like, I've done all kinds of things actually. I do a lot of drilling. You know, Josh was saying you could drill into money. Yeah, you totally could drill into money. And you would actually find a lot of money issues, business issues. And as you probably know, there's a lot of money in the business opportunity market. I have actually been in that market in my first year or two being online. It's been over a decade now, but some of the largest lead lists I've ever dealt with is when I was dealing with scam opportunities and literally trying to be the voice of reason for scams. That has been an overused method, but we pretty much helped invent that method in the 90s. But again, you want to be the voice of reason. So sometimes you'll find irrelevant things, but if you like them, we have a whole video on how to use this. You can go ahead and click. You can say, hey, I want to answer this one. See that, guys? Or that's not related, but I really don't like this theme. Let's go back to projects. It's really dorky because it's too broad. Test espresso. Oh, espresso. Okay, yeah, let's say you're selling espresso. That's good. Okay, I would probably re-drill this. This doesn't bring back a ton. Sometimes it brings back literally hundreds, and we're making a version that brings back thousands, so we're working on that right now. Since this is a Polsim, I would have to do another drill. Polisim means there's two meanings. It's a software language as well as coffee. Okay, this just means that Quora is not that great of a place to do that. So you can start looking at these and start collecting, and I might drill into another one. I would just if I was actually selling espresso coffee, I might put a brand name in here and see if I'm getting back any questions like that. So what you're really looking for is those types of questions. I have a lot of better examples on my own account. I've got so many accounts at this point. I'm going to try that one. There we go. I'm probably not I'm not supposed to show you this stuff, but that's okay. Here's a good one. Let's just go into Acne. This tool is really awesome. Sorry, guys. There's so much to show you that I could be on this call for like 4 hours. I think week 2 needs to have 2 weeks. Here you go. I love Acne. We actually did really well on this. What is the best home remedy for getting rid of, if you've got an acne medication, guys, is acne a painkiller or a vitamin? I just need to do a quick test, make sure you guys are, I'm not trying to, yeah, thanks guys. Most of you know it's a painkiller. So these are all huge questions. Look at the number of views. See how many people are following that question on Quora? Look how many people have answered it. This kind of viewing is really what you want to deal with. People don't want to pay for a remedy, but they're happy to, put coffee grounds on their face or whatever. That's important. Like, you could do an article on, you decide, hey, I know a lot about, this type of thing. I also know some pitfalls and some foibles, of using home remedies. So go ahead and answer that. Once it's answered, you can go here. And if it's been syndicated, you can mark it as syndicated. This is for our more advanced courses. And we're going to be tying all this together so that once it's syndicated, the question will come. We're building a plugin right now that this whole question thing will go right into your blog, and you can answer it right in there in a user interface. I'm not supposed to tell you guys that. I let it slip. Whoops. Okay, so there's that. What is you guys get where I'm coming from? If I look through some of these questions, Johnny asked a fair question. How do I extract keywords? Well, you have to look at, there's a couple things that I do when I begin to look at the questions. Obviously, acne is a big one, but if I see patterns in this, and you can also look in our keyword tools, as well, I still do research early on when I'm looking for, I might parse the web for questions related to acne. I might do a quick search in Kraken or TLKT or on PainFinder before I even hand stuff off to Matt, because Matt's just going to put the general terms that I give him in there. If I know that acne is a good one, if I know I'm selling acne medication, I probably would give him acne, the top level theme. And he'll walk you guys through this. If I'm selling acne cream, I'm probably going to give him acne cream as well, depending upon the number of terms. So, I like this one. How do I move acne? That's a good one. Here's a pain. Acne scars. Well, you might not be dealing with that. You might not want to deal with issues like that. What is it like to have, here you go. Okay. Now with stuff like this, a should ask question may or may not, it may seem weird to call it a should ask question, something like this, because this is human interaction. Okay, but you might not provide a better question and say, hey, that's a dumb question. You might just provide an answer with that. That's what we call an emotionally resonant question. Okay, so this is where we get vitamin D, cystic acne. There you go. Let's say you have a lot of vitamin D in your product. So this is what you're really looking for. And by extracting the question, Johnny, what you're really looking for is there's a couple things you can do. You can import these into TLKT, the last keyword tool, and find out, look at the common terms. But right now we know that the keyword obviously is root. Severe acne I have seen over 3 times by just a look. Now if I were to throw acne into the last keyword tool, probably severe acne would come up as a high co-occurrence. Okay, so that's one way you could do it if you wanted to be a real stickler for getting the precise terms even before you gave them to Matt. One of the reasons we do this for you the first time is trying to introduce you guys to all of the ridiculous robot tools. The robot power that we have is just off the charts. In fact, so powerful is it's become a little bit overwhelming for our students. So that's why we're giving you this basic introduction. And when we run the first things for you, you'll be able to then, in context, be able to see a lot of the different things that we have. Okay, because this is going to take a week for you, at least a week for you guys to get your head around. All right, so that's why I just wanted you to try, before we give you the big guns and keyword drilling and Kraken and domain, DWS, any silo builder, all these things, just we have to put you through the torture of manually extracting at least your first few hand extractions. Because once you have that, once you understand this process, once you do this once, from then on, all of your usage of these high-powered power tools will make sense. Okay. I only use the word torture because I think that people would really prefer that all the keywords would be extracted out of the frequently asked questions. Now, that being said, I'm an innovator, Johnny. I do have some ideas about parsing all the frequently asked questions for common terms. I already have a way that I do that, but I haven't released it to the public yet because it's untested and it's a little bit cumbersome. But I do like the idea of having an entire list of frequently asked questions, should ask questions, and using it, treating it as a document, and extracting the 1 and 2 related terms on there. So that's not a bad idea. But this is actually part of an exercise where I want you guys to look at your first frequently asked questions, and the main point is transitioning to your audience to the should ask questions so that you understand the problems that your product solves. Okay? Joshua is asking how much time do we have to submit all these to Matt? Well, don't worry about it. We go through this week by week. Next week we're going to be going into week 3, which, just so you know, we haven't even got to that point where you need to worry about that too much, Joshua, because you have to do this first. Like, give yourself 2 to 4 frequently asked questions. Choose the ones that you are going to go with. Extract at least 1 keyword each from them. Okay, you can see that we have a nice, we have a blank FAQ, SAQ for you, so you can run through that. Okay. Once you guys go through this process once, I mean, Johnny had a very reasonable question. Once you go through this process once, you're going to be using our tools left and right to create more damage and more powerful reports than anybody who has not been introduced to this process, FAQ, SAQ. I don't know why that's the case. It just is. When you understand the reasons behind where keyword research is done and why it's done and at what point in the process, you're going to be seriously badasses. Like, this puts you at a, $200 an hour researcher for a market researcher. So you guys are not just SEOs and keyword researchers, you're actually market research experts. We've had people actually put it on their website, sell it as a product, and provide these reports. Okay? Johnny has said, one of my takes on this webinar could be always ask questions about anything and ask another question to whatever answer you find. That's the scientific method, but that's not what this webinar is about, Johnny. This webinar is about extracting keywords from frequently asked questions in your market based around the products or services that you're selling, extracting that keyword theme, coming up with a summary of pains, confusions, and problems behind the question. In other words, doing a little research socially and finding out what that is. Maybe looking at the question behind the question, but then coming up with a question that enhances the obvious solution that your product solves. Sometimes your product solves the frequently asked question. Okay, there's also endogenous frequently asked questions, meaning frequently asked questions about your particular product from your own help desk that are only to do with your own questions. I still use frequently asked questions all the time with no should ask questions, but those are questions that come in from your business. Like, how do I use TLKT's Jimmy Kelley filter for domain purchasing? That's actually a frequently asked question on the TLKT help desk, but that's not out there on internet land, right? Until it is. If I put it in our wiki, then it will get parsed, but nobody else is going to be out there asking that question. So you're really looking for questions. That's why we gave you the pain finder concept and the rest. You want things that are commonly asked. Okay, you want to find them out there. You want to use like Yahoo Answers, kind of terrible actually, but you know what I'm getting at. You can look at those different questions. If you already have questions that are common to the world coming in from your database, like for example, we still get the occasional person that comes in from our help desk and says, what is keyword research? Okay, and well, if that is that's a common question out there. So that's worthy of approaching as an article, and it's also worthy of approaching as a place on our FAQ page. It's worthy in the marketing copy. Okay, so that's really what this whole process is about. And then you want, Johnny, you want this to all be congruent with your product. Your product is in this column. Okay, when you guys get really good, you're going to extract the pain behind those questions. Like, what happens if they don't get this problem solved? Let me actually put that in there. That's why that's so good for marketing, because it paints a dismal picture of things they don't want to happen, which is why they're actually searching for that problem in the first place. But yes, Johnny, like it is about, as Mark says, dialectic theory. It's about the scientific recursive aspect, but in the right place. It's still keyword driven. So let's go ahead and move back. Now we're going to go back. We're not done. Okay, that's about halfway through this week. This is probably one of the richer weeks. So you've got the pain finder. Remember, the whole purpose of this entire process is about finding your high-converting one-line zinger. I know it sounds amazing and impossible, but at the end of the day, what you're really looking for as you begin to understand the minds of your market, of the human beings who are going to buy this product or service, you're really looking to find that one or two line zinger that would allow you to create a really awesome banner. Okay? Now, believe it or not, when you look at something like this process, by going through this entire process, and everybody's will be unique, you'll have a unique fingerprint, there's advanced techniques such as, once you know this entire line, this whole horizontal line, you're pretty much able to build a proprietary industry meme, a concept, or you can also build a banner. So we go into that on certification level 2, but essentially what I want you to get at is, if I know, for instance, that what is the safest, most powerful way to build links, and I know that the real question behind the question is, how do I safely rank higher on the search engines? And I know what their fears are, getting their website banned, their penalties from Google could get them de-indexed, manual Google penalties could shut them down. When I know all this, it's not that far away. It's not a very big step into sending it to a good marketer or a good banner creator to be able to create a banner. You can even write the banner yourself. What could the banner say? Don't get your website banned with horrible backlinks. Click here. Boom. We call that ghetto banner creation. We talk about it in level 2 and level 3 certification. Okay? So that's really, you can watch that video in here, because where you guys really want to get to, I know everybody wants simplicity, but everything that I've shown you is one of the simplest ways to stack a multi-million-dollar business in about, I don't know, what do you say, 11 columns? I wish I could make it simpler for you guys, but it's not. I would be lying to you if I said there was an automatic way to do that. But the amazing thing is once you get this process, a significant portion of everything else in your business is automated. I mean, it's crazy. Once you get through this and you understand this part in business, a significant portion of all the other aspects, your marketing, your web page development, your SEO, your siloing, can be semi-automated. And in the case of the Web 3, the layer 3 of the web ring, you guys know what I'm talking about. Hopefully you've been introduced to our web ring. Oh my goodness. can be entirely automated. So everything in this course, as you guys know, we're sitting right here. We're building your money site. We can't really get you all the treats and goodies of money automation. Yes, it still exists. Don't let anyone ever tell you different. There are thousands upon thousands of websites raking in thousands of dollars a month, and not a human being just does not touch them. You guys understand me? Give me one if you understand me. This is important. Don't let anyone ever lie to you. I'm doing it right now. Okay, our clients do it. We've done SEO and clients don't, but we can't teach you that stuff out of the gate. That's not for sale out of the gate. You have to have an understanding of how a business is built. Okay, there's very few people that run organizations that build 100% automation. Those are technical companies. Those are, entirely different. We're actually teaching you a sustainable system about, you have to know why those things work and what not to do, because for every one of those companies that try to do that type of thing, there's 100 of them that are failing, that don't understand how it all works. So we're teaching you deep infrastructure. Can't do that stuff until you guys get out here. That's what certification level 3 is for. Okay? And if you've done everything right in here, it starts to make sense what's happening. And what's crazy is that, like I'm dealing with right now in level 3, if a person doesn't necessarily go through the process of understanding the keyword DNA, then even the stuff they put in their outer rings might not be congruent or useful to the products they're selling. And since the banners, the one-line zingers that they create out here, which go right here at the top of the page or anywhere else, everything, it's garbage in, garbage out. It's crappy, crappy all the way down if you don't do this right the first time. Even your banners suck because they're targeting the wrong market with the wrong congruent keywords, even when you're doing automatic video traffic. It's crazy. Like everything is stacked upon a meme, and it's stacked upon a layer of technical foundation. So as Einstein said, I make it as simple for you as possible, but not simpler, because simpler would create a train wreck somewhere else down your network. That's why what's really nice is, like, once you have this, you can just copy and paste. You can just go, okay, I'm marketing. What am I marketing? I put this on my other screen. I go create marketing copy. I'm in the middle of an audio interview with Sue Bell. Okay, I just go over here. Sue, I'm going to talk about this today. It sounds like I'm doing really complicated stuff, but all I'm doing is looking at my FAQ and SAQs and talking to my in-house experts. That's all that's ever happened. And sometimes Sue will say, okay, well, here's a new frequently asked question, but this is what it should be. And then we just have a whole list. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. When we're talking about the one-line banner, let's go ahead, the one-line zinger, just go ahead and watch this video. I'm actually giving away some tips of some ghetto banners. We get way into ghetto banners in automaticvideotraffic.com, way into it. That's a new course. It's the first time I've taught it. That's the first time I've given away anything in there. I really don't like taking students in there that have not gone through this process because of the very reason that's already happening. And a lot of that can be controlled through software. Like, everybody gets excited when they realize how much power is in this stuff. Like you wake up one morning, you got 100,000 posts on your blog, and the server not big enough to post it. So this is why we got to teach you guys step by step. It's got to be, it's dangerous. Okay, so here's that. The final phase for this is the keywords submission form. Let me just double check. Okay, so what Matt's going to have us do, the process is to take the theme keyword list from the previous section and place them on a notepad or a spreadsheet. Okay, and if you guys need help, you're not certain, don't be afraid to go into the Skype room and start talking about it. And everybody help each other here, unless you got something super proprietary. Just make sure that you understand what's going to happen. You're going to have to go to the help desk, and we're watching for this in the help desk to be able to take your tickets, because Matt has his own process of putting these through. I'm just realizing, I think it was Joshua, that I told you wrong. Yeah, apparently. That's a great question. Matt, are you here? I'm lost. I need to ask you something.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. I had a quick question. I see that the homework assignment. Yeah. I see that the homework assignment for keyword submission is here.
Help desk ticket.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what is the time frame in which all of this is supposed to happen this week, right?
What they do is they do the FAQs, SAQs this week. They figure out what the keywords are. Then they create a help desk ticket that goes to Kevin. He sets up the Kraken accounts for them.
Yes.
Then he passes that details on to me with the keywords. And what we need is this, basically the primary keyword, 4 supporting keywords, and the locale they want to get their site set up for. So like the USA or UK or Australia or whatever they're doing.
Good. How many? If you give me a 1 if you're in the United States and a 2 if you're not. I want to double check on a couple things. Okay, so Matt cleared that up for me. Oh, Johnny, where are you? What country, and where are you, Joshua? Okay. Fancy. Are you targeting the United States, Johnny? Okay. Good. Okay, Joshua, yours is in the United States. Okay, thanks, guys. Yes, so to answer your question, which I incorrectly answered in the beginning, pardon me for being fuzzy. Yes, I don't want you to, I know that when you see this giant spreadsheet, it can be overwhelming. The important thing to understand is that it can be evergreen, and once you get it down, it goes really fast. It goes flying by. I can create one of these suckers in an hour and a half. But your first time might be a little challenging. Don't overdo it. Just a quick question, Matt. How many keywords are they? How many keywords are they looking for?
They want to get at least about 5 keywords. So typically one's for the market. So like hair salon would be one of the market keywords, and then the services or the keywords that describe what their product is.
Okay, good.
I think the people are going to be searching on.
Good. And if there's an issue, like you'll kick it back. If there's something that's obviously not accurate, that'll get kicked back to him, right?
Yeah, if they're going too broad on everything, then I'll just have a quick chat to the guys and help them refine it a little bit.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that. So yeah, you got that. I'll actually add this to the submitting keywords for Kraken. Probably we need to add more, maybe a video instruction. I'll do that. I just wasn't sure because it is a little bit not clear, like how many keywords we should provide. They need to provide us with. But that's excellent. And then we actually have. I did put a homework check. It might be on the homework checklist actually. Matt might have put it somewhere else. The break-even calculator is still one of my favorite things. That's still functional, isn't it, Matt?
Yes.
Good. I haven't used it in a couple of weeks. I was checking. Yeah, I love this thing. This is one of the many features. This is also a part related to the feature that we have in DWS Any Site Builder, which is your keyword business decision rules. It allows you to determine how much you really will make based on not only just how much traffic there is, but how much you're making per sale. So he gets into that. Let me just double check that. I think it might be a download.
Yeah, it's a Google spreadsheet.
Okay. Yeah, this is a break-even calculator. And he's got a wonderful video. It shows you exactly how to use it. What this does is this starts helping you get a sense before you get into our heavy-duty software and giant things like Kraken and the video automation, all the stuff that's coming that's available to you guys in other courses, is that you get an idea or a sense of how much you're making per sale, and really watch that video. One of the main things that I learned from that has been incredibly helpful and enhanced my skill sets was to be really careful about including actual business sculpting numbers. Like if I have a front-end product that's only $7, that's not a really useful campaign unless I have a back-end product that's $10,000. So these are things that we don't really think about. We talk a lot about that at the live event on how to set up your back-end, front-end, your MVP, minimum viable products, all that. So really get into that and check that out. Start playing around with that. Matt's going to get into that a lot more in later Webbies. So just want you to have that. And last but not least, we have your...
Yeah, on week 4, Russ.
Yeah, week 4, Matt gets into that. It's really... Keep in mind that most of what you're seeing today is just a primer for the automation that's to come. So if you have the slightest thinking that like everything's going to be spreadsheets and stuff through this, no. This is the worst of it, guys. We make you do this for a reason because things in some ways are too powerful and too automated in terms of, or at least semi-automatic, in terms of developing your silo structures. What's really terrible is if you build a silo structure and you import it and it's wrong. I mean, or you just do something crazy with your market positioning is not there. So here's your homework checklist. Your homework checklists are here. Again, you have any questions on that? We've laid everything out. It's very, very clear. Here's a couple questions coming in. Should you worry about local keywords? I'm going to let Matt answer that question.
No, not at this stage. Typically, guys, what we do is when we work and build local sites, we always start from a national point of view to get a feel for the traffic, because the local traffic will always be a lot lower. So we need to see and understand what the language is and how much search there is on a national level first. So we always start at the top of the vertical and work our way back down if you're doing local.
Excellent. Okay. What other questions do we have? In fact, on that note, there's a few things going on here. On that note, I would like to, I believe I've given it to you on the first day. Just keep in mind, this is not to overwhelm, but this is just to give you a quick snapshot of the challenge that we've had to be able to explain persuasion architecture versus silo architecture. But this should help you. This is super, super basic of stacking vertical. Here's a vertical keyword, right? Here's a pain keyword and or a long tail. I know the word long tail has been overused, but there's different kinds of long tails. There's different species of long tails. So this is a little bit of an insight into what it is that we do, how we stack, how you can think about the stacking of ideas. So if your vertical theme is skin, it might be one of a couple of vertical themes. You don't want to rank for the word skin, right? If you've got skin cream, that's pretty much, well, I mean, it really depends. That's a whole other story. Generally speaking, when you own a vertical term like this, we've seen that scenario. People drill into the site and then they treat your website like a search engine like any other, and then they try to look what they're specifically looking for. So if you own skin.com, they're just going to use you like Google and drill into specifics. I don't know if you guys know that, but got a lot of case studies on that type of thing. Pain keyword is skin rash. Okay, if one of the pain keywords is skin rash, if your product is congruent with that, then, or you have a product like skin rash balm, there's your buyer solution keyword. Okay, you might sell multiple solutions to a skin rash, but skin rash balm was definitely one of them. For the target of this campaign, you got to pick one, right? Remember how I showed you on my target on the spreadsheet, I had multiple products listed at the end? Well, that's the downside of having a business with lots of really good products, right? Well, you deal with them one at a time until you deal with all of them. Okay, at that point, then you can go into the headline, where it's like your semantic headline is tools or pain finder. Okay, balms for skin rashes, are they safe? Okay, that's a article. How to choose a safe skin rash. This is where we get into the painkiller article method, which I don't think is this week, is it, Matt?
No, it's not.
Okay, I'm actually going into the wrong week, guys. So I'm going to close this down, but I just want to let you know what's coming. I'm supposed to wait on this. I do find it's helpful, Matt. This kind of just to give you a sneak peek of that week 5 or 6, wherever we get into this. When you get into buying articles, the reason the painkiller, and this might or might not connect to what Mark is trying to ask right now, which I will address. Part of the reason the vitamin of the painkiller is so important is for what we call the painkiller article method later on. It's really interesting. The painkiller article method allows you to use headlines like how-to headlines or painkiller headlines. How to choose a safe skin rash balm. Balms for skin rashes, are they safe? You can see how the question itself creates doubt and then draws the click. Remember that a holistic view of what's happening here, and I know it's not easy, guys. I consider you guys courageous and heroic for attempting a full integration thought process. I know it's not the way that the brain likes to deal things. It likes small chunks. But the ultimate purpose of the perpetual downstream traffic system is that once you have your hub set up, whereas an authority site, you know how you're ranked, you know your silo architecture. When you start publishing your articles here and there, they will be processed downstream at all of your other properties. And because and you can do that automatically if you want. You can do it manually. We have the one feed system that also puts them out into RSS feeds. We teach in certification level 2. The point being that your headline matters. And if you properly built your FAQ to SAQ properly, you're going to have these amazing headlines. Oh, there he is again. Sorry, Joshua. I'm giving you way too much publicity, man. When you have these awesome headlines, and you have things like social explosion on here, which takes a little snippet of your headline. Sometimes it takes a snippet of your article. The reason we design social explosion in that way is so that you get a different chunk each time. And the painkiller article method we're going to teach you in the later weeks, the article is congruent with your frequently asked question. It's also congruent with your should ask question. You've got your vertical Kraken theme that's been researched. In this case, it'll be by Matt. Later on, when you get better, it'll be by you. You've got the last keyword tool, Pain Finder, in Kraken. You can find and drill into the pain keywords. You know what you're selling. You've got the buyer solution. You know how to cast doubt or create neuromarketing headlines, which are going to be automated downstream to all those social, because they draw the click because of their interesting but incomplete nature, which we get into a lot. Okay, there's several ways you can sequence these headlines. Doctor recommends ointment for skin rashes. That's more of a publicity or a PR-based headline. But the point is that you can see keyword, keyword. You've got your vertical, you've got your long tail, you've got your extended or product keyword, then you've got your headline. And there may be a mixed mesh of those, but they're all contained. And as you begin to set up your structure, understanding how to go from the vertical to the pain to the writing to the headline, keeping it all thematically congruent, which, by the way, with Skyfall is becoming absolutely essential. We've been right all along about where things are going, sadly. Well, not sadly for people who are not doing it, but it's all there. Themes are now even more congruent than they were 2 years ago, more important. Stay themed on your stuff. It doesn't mean that you can't use synonyms. Matt's going to get into that next week and other things. It doesn't mean that you always have to have the word skin in it. Another word for skin might be flesh. Who knows? But the point is that when you build your keyword DNA, which Matt will be teaching you, it gets crazy in the amount of keywords and topics and themes that you can cover and blend as a hybrid and utilize all the semantic variations of those terms. Right? So we've been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes. You have your assignments. I think that everybody knows what to do. I want to clarify one last thing. Mark says, I'm still 100% clear. I'm still not. You are still 100% unclear on the vitamin aspect. I will go read the PDF doc, and that should clear. Okay, Mark. Not clear. Gotcha. Will this be the time? Let me see. Okay, yeah, I didn't address your specific case. If I have a large opportunity with women's perfume and men's cologne, yes, those are, as you said, commodity. They are. That would be probably, I would take a trading up approach with that. Trading up is not included in this course. If you had a huge opportunity with that, in other words, that concept of trading up, there's a book called Trading Up, which is kind of useful about that. Maybe a quick look through it. You have to ask yourself, in what position is women's perfume a painkiller, if any? And is it a painkiller that the market that you're targeting or the audience that you're targeting is interested in? Okay, men's cologne. If I'm really smelling bad, will I, because I've just been to the gym, am I going to slap stuff on my body when I'm leaving the gym because I smell really bad and because I'm in a rush because I've been called into a business meeting? And if I would do that, even if that is the case, is that something that I really want to be a topic? Do I really want to talk about that? You know, I mean, sometimes things are used in ways that are not good for marketing. So you have to ask yourself, okay, perfume is not a painkiller in the ultimate sense, okay, but it's also, let's say we had this actual issue with diamonds, which is a trading up issue as well. Let me give you an example. In the diamond market, they are 100% vitamins until you're getting married. You understand what I'm saying? If your product in the process of the life cycle of a buyer, which is very, very good, we have the life cycle of a buyer map put somewhere on this. During the life cycle of a buyer, if the buyer changes gears from nice to have to holy shit, I need this now, you've just had a cultural and or social situation that changed his perspective from a vitamin to a painkiller. Baking soda is an example of that. Baking soda saves people's lives every day in the hospital who are having a specific infection. Even mainstream doctors feed baking soda to certain kinds of infections to bring down the acidosis properties of it. It's a $4 bag of like baking soda. It's a vitamin. It's nice to have. It's not an emergency thing, but it shifts to an emergency when someone has an infection in the emergency room. And there's an amazing book on this called The Power of Baking Soda if you want to read it. So my point is that it's largely perspective, but there are general constants. And I don't know about perfume. I've never been in that market, Mark. I don't know, for instance, under what circumstances I would write, I might create an article, how to choose a non-offensive perfume, if I discovered in my process of creating my FAQ to SAQ spreadsheet, if I found that a commonly asked question was thinking that you have awesome perfume on, but people are secretly offended by how strong it is. Okay, which I saw an article on that, something similar. In other words, there are probably pains surrounding that market, but first of all, at what point during the process are they interesting to you? And what is your role in the dissemination and marketing of that product? If you're big branding, for instance, like in Madison Avenue, all they care about is the awesome billboard next to, the diamond company's diamonds, right? And all these emotional scenes where, he's on his hands and knees, offering them wedding ring, the engagement band to his girlfriend. If that's your job, then you don't have to worry about pain. You just need setting. But if you're actually taking it on and you own the product and the services, or you own a market share and the rest, the entire global strategy of the launch has to be clear. And the reasons people buy have to be clear. And if they're not buying when they're in pain, this is why if I was in the diamond market, I would only be launching a business 100% around engagements and marriages. And I would tailor, I've talked to plenty of jewelers who've come to us, and we had somebody in that market. Trying to be all things to all people is pretty rough unless you have about $150,000 minimum to create a giant shopping site and you're like, Diamond Warehouse or something. I mean, I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying the only choice you have to do something other than that is to create distinction based on a storefront or some kind of amazing offer, or become the diamond guy or something like that, where your personal brand is, you're so unique and you're so famous that when you go on TV like Dr. Oz, you have a unique way of looking at diamonds and people prefer to buy from you when they're reading your journal because you have a unique way of finding fakes, for instance, or something like that. It's really tricky, personal branding and opportunities, because what seems like a good opportunity might not be if it's a commodity. And even worse, if you're the one who has to create the distinction. Let me give you an example. This might help you guys. Here's a couple $1 million worth of hopefully preemptive advice for you guys. A couple $1 million that I spent so that you don't have to. If you have, okay, remember this first one? What is the safest way to build links, or what is the difference between keyword research and, all right, at the time we launched this in 2006, nobody knew anything about this stuff. And so what did we try to teach? We tried to teach a new concept that nobody was looking for. Website silo architecture. If you go down here. Guys, in 2006, the only person who knew about website architecture was myself, Sue Bell, and my mentor, Bruce Clay, who taught me personally the concept. Okay, and so I had this great idea. Sue and I had this great idea. Let's go build a software that nobody understands. The entire market, the entire market has to be educated on the value of ranking. That's how that's, by the way, how we came up with how to rank higher for thousands of keywords than your competition using up to 90% fewer inbound links. See how that just rolled off my tongue? The reason it rolls off my tongue is I found the pain point that would allow people to at least give half a glance at a new concept that nobody ever understood. Even though we spent $2 million educating the entire world, now everybody knows website silo architecture, right? You can buy softwares here and there, and it's pretty common. Right? Well, yeah, but it's because we dumped money into the concept, and the meme was made popular by money. Money in the form of education, money in the form of training, money in the form of understanding that it solves the pain. Okay? So my point here is that you have to know how much money. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, Mark. I know where you come from. I know you have a lot of experience, at least with B2B. And it could be a danger coming from B2B into consumer-based market, because it's not the same world. Just a side note there. Hopefully you have experience in both. If people don't know that they need it and it's not distinct, and you're the one, if you've been given an opportunity and you're the one who has to create the distinction, tack 1 or 2 extra zeros onto the cost of the opportunity for you. Okay? You guys get that? Give me a 1 if you understood what I just said. If you have to create the distinction, if you have to build the unique brand, you're building a brand. It's called brand equity. Brand equity is worth so much. I cannot tell you guys how much brand equity is worth. Okay, even if it doesn't have a list, but it has distinction online. Okay, it's very, very unique. So that's what I'm really looking at, Mark. I don't know. It is a vitamin. I can see where you're coming from with the, I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to turn it into a painkiller. The only thing like cologne for me is helpful is like if I smell bad and then I put it on, then it can be a painkiller. Other than that, you're going to have to go on distinction. You're going to have to go on uniqueness, or you're going to have some kind of in other than the painkiller market. I don't really see a way to perpetuate that. Now, you could take a pivot. There's a great book, you guys, called The Lean Canvas. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys something as a gift. Please keep it to yourself. It's in its early prototype phases. It is not part of this course. Okay. This might give you a little bit of idea. Okay. This is exactly how a multi-million-dollar business was set up by us. Okay, it'll give you it's the process map. And there's many micro process maps on here by Matt, myself. It's all connected. This is kind of the global view. This is a multi-million-dollar pathway for you guys of how to include your technology. We normally only share this at a live certification event. We will have a new advanced one this year. So that's a gift. It's called futureproofempire.com. It's in a prototype phase of mapping. We're going to get a professional artist to do the full thing. And of course, there's a couple hours of our live communication at the live event on this topic where we go through each one of your businesses. Matt and I break it down into the marketing, operations, financial, and legal. Matt gets into IT debt. We tear your business down. That was one of the more popular sessions at our live event. That was fun, wasn't it, Matt? Okay. So that's one of the things that there. Johnny says, for instance, if paying for a company is website traffic, how do I define the life market cycle for that company if always needs traffic? Well, if you're not selling them traffic, then it doesn't matter. If you're selling traffic, then it matters. It all comes back down to you, Johnny. What are you selling? Why are you selling it? Can you deliver it really? Are you still learning to deliver it, or can you actually deliver it? Traffic is everybody's pain. It's like the crack of the internet, but it's becoming less so. Quality traffic is becoming key. Targeted traffic is becoming key. I think probably within a 5-year period, we will whistle the end of generalized traffic distribution. And because of what we showed you on Schema, where Kevin is pointing out the article, did you see the number of artists? I mean, sorry, the number of artists. See the number of where you see where things are going for audience? Remember that? Well, I bring that up only because this is not that far removed, Johnny, from traffic generation. And the ability to generate traffic will actually be dependent upon Schema, probably within a 5-year period. And as a result, telling the search engines who your target audience might actually have a place in your ability to actually draw that traffic for clients. So that's something worth, and not only that, there's even object markup for the actions that you want them to take. Just pretty, there's business audience, for example. Imagine a day where you actually get your client more traffic because you've marked up the content on your page to the audience that you're targeting. To me, that's just crazy. So yeah, if you start looking at that, for instance, Johnny, if a paying for a company is a website traffic, how do you define the life market cycle for that company if it always needs traffic? Well, why would you want to, Johnny? Like, why are you asking me that question? For instance, if the pains for a company, like if you're a traffic wholesaler or a traffic, I mean, at that point, just become a distributor of somebody else's traffic sources and broker it. I would never be a direct. The thing that you just described, Johnny, is something that I would never do. It just wouldn't happen. It's not a good business proposition. You have a product that teaches how to get traffic. Okay. Is it yours? Yeah, okay, so you're an affiliate. Distinction would probably be appropriate. There's something called pseudo-branding. If you've actually used the product yourself, that would be very helpful. If not, you really can't pseudo-brand. Pseudo-brand means I validate and vouch and only sell or resell programs and services that actually work and don't suck. If it's not, and you haven't done that, then you have to just go based on other people's testimonials and then create objects and web pages and everything out there that justifies it. As far do you have to rewrite the sales page, Johnny, or can you just cut and paste? Like, why do you need to talk about that's what I'm really trying to understand, is like, what are you selling? Yeah, that would be something that maybe, well, then you don't need anything that I've just said, Johnny. All you do is just cut and paste. You don't need to position. You don't need to extract. You'll probably be better off listening to week 3 and 4. I'm not suggesting you do that. Just remember, for dupe content, I'm presuming you're here because you want to build a website silo architecture site, Johnny, which implies that you're going to have to build your own site. And if that's the case, then you could either carry multiple affiliate products on that site and then give it its own blurb. You know, the value you will draw from this course will still be very much about how to correctly create a website silo architecture. You could do, like, for example, a review website that's siloed if you want for your first test, something like that. Because if you're doing affiliate marketing, the conundrum with affiliate marketing is, I don't know if you guys know this, but Google Skyfall 100% is attacking and taking affiliate stuff is going to be taking a hit. Mostly that comes from dupe content. And it's not necessarily that way through all the networks that Sue and Jimmy were analyzing, but you just need to be aware that affiliate stuff used to be a great way of getting backlinks and everything. I wouldn't go that route anymore. Just remember that it's better to create unique content or a unique blurb. You know, get the product launch. You know, launch jacking was always so popular. Part of the reason that worked was a unique insight or a unique social proof. But in terms of content, you might want to consider adding that as content. Create unique content around that so that you don't get any dupe content penalties, obviously. So we'll get more into that type of stuff. As far as positioning, how to position other people's products, OPP, there's only a couple of ways to do that. You can position other people's product by your own testimonial. They call that the launch jack formula. You buy this product, and oh, by the way, I'm throwing in this added value and bonus, and actually I'm going to show you how to make it work better than the owners originally intended. I have been successful in doing that with affiliate stuff in my past. I no longer sell affiliate stuff, obviously, but when I did, I would always try to make it better. And I was able to sell, in one case, a lot of product just based on my own personal brand, you know, because I already had brand equity, right? So round and round she goes. But that's one thing that you really want to look at too. Hopefully that helps, Johnny. I know that's not directly helping, but the business model you've chosen is rough in terms of building an empire around it. So ultimately, it's great for a test, but I would not try to build a gigantic empire around it. I would probably just, you know, build something small, maybe a small little traffic site, but I would still apply the silo structure stuff that Matt's going to teach. Just stay a little bit focused on the actual value the product's going to provide. And also Matt can give you some more tips on that. He has some experience with this. All right, you guys, we're going to wrap up. You have your homework assignment. We've gone on for 2.5 hours. I think that's enough. I look forward to seeing you next week. I will probably not be on the call much because I'm going to be in Nashville at OMG SEO Live giving lectures for 4 days. I know that some of you will be there.
Russ, sorry, Russ, could we just find out how many guys are actually going to the event, if they are going to the event?
Yeah, so is there anybody here? Is there anybody here going to the event who will not be in pocket next week? Give me a 1 if you're going to Nashville Live and 2 if you are not. It'd be very helpful for us. Okay. Now it looks like you're good, Matt. You should roll this out. Not everybody is. And plus, there are recordings of this. I'm uploading this recording right away, guys. So yeah, no, we're good, Matt, for next week.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because next week, guys, we're going to look at Kraken, market analysis. I'm going to explain how to use the tool, processes I follow, and I'm going to give you the definition of the difference between market analysis and keyword research, so you can look at the two things as totally separate entities.
Okay.
So that's essentially what they are.
Got it. All right. Well, we'll see you then. Again, I probably won't be on the call, or if I am, it'll be very short-lived. People are saying this has been a really awesome webinar. I've got a lot of wows through the conversation. Just know, guys, that teach and be taught was the more that I'm able to teach it, the more clear I get. I've been doing it for so long and not teaching it that it's, in the early phases of teaching this process, it is less effective as it was now in teaching it. We've had a lot of people have breakthroughs with the FAQ, SAQ process. And I think when I look back on my career in development, the campaigns where I did not create one because I was too lazy to, and actually what the truth is, if I'm honest, software tools are like crack for me. I don't stop to do spreadsheets, or I didn't anyways. I do now. Why? Because that's a $30 million spreadsheet we're looking at over the course of 4 years. So it's worth doing it. Okay, and it's not even at the end of it. We're still moving. All right, you guys, thank you.
It'll save the guys a lot of money, Russell. That's
man.
Important.
Welton says, I love your approach. Thanks, Welton. It's good to finally have you around after talking. I wish I was on the island with you, but if you are. But $4 million questions, you like that. I'm impressed that you like the $4 million questions process, Joshua. I'm glad that's helpful. It is only the beginning phases. Again, the $4 million question could go on for like perfume that Mark was asking about, because you'll find that there are tons of entries for perfume. That's number 4. So that's why that scale I gave you guys is one flames, 2 flames. How hot is it? Because that's going to determine your ability, how much you're going to have to make up, like how much you're going to have to educate a market. And so really you just need to be aware of what your competition is and how much of a commodity or a pain or lack of pain. Honestly, perfume for me is probably something that would not make the cut unless there was a budget. That's to throw that out there, Mark. That's how our approach works. Our approach is proven. Like Matt and Sue and myself have used this system to assess business opportunities successfully. And one of our secret weapons is from a friend of ours. I'm just going to leave you guys with this. It's maybe kind of helpful for you, Mark. I'm tossing this out mostly for Mark because I'm inspired to do so for him. It's called Lean Canvas. We do use that, and there has been talk of an API at some point. It's a very, very simple tool, very, very easy to use, and just want you guys to know that one of the most influential books in my career is a book called Lean Startup. And so both Ash and the writer of Lean Startup use this very simple system. You can get through it. It's free, and you can actually delete. It's not something I would necessarily get a subscription for unless you're buying and selling businesses a lot. But you can get through the whole process in about half an hour. What I have found is that using Lean Canvas with with a FAQ to SAQ process, especially if before I talk to Matt and get all my drills and my and everything, I get paid very, very, very well to do this, guys. Like I can make 5 figures in a consulting gig that takes me less than a half a day to complete using Lean Canvas and FAQ, SAQ. Now, of course, I don't present it to the client until I've shown the keywords that Matt has drilled into. I don't show, I provide a compelling package, and when you show Kraken, or like one of our students uses DWS Any-Silo Builders reports, builds the silos out for them, and he shows their missed opportunities in Kraken first. And so you can put these in anything order that you want, but you can pull in a 5-figure day rate when you learn how to assess business opportunities and or prepare a website position for people, depending upon what it is that you're selling. It just depends on what it is that you're providing. So that should give you guys an eye-opener. Go ahead and use that. That is something that I want you to have on your radar. Just a beautiful piece of software. There's a whole book written on just this single screen. When I use FAQ, SAQ combined with this, you might as well at that point just consider yourself a high-level business broker and business assessing expert. If you get good at that, not only will you avoid crappy opportunities, you will easily recognize opportunities that other people are missing in about 2 hours or less. All right, you guys, Russell Wright and Matt Cruz, we will see you next week, or at least Matt will. I'll be on maybe shortly. I'll be traveling. I'll be thinking of all of you. I look forward to seeing you on the next webinar, and we look forward to seeing you, hopefully, at one of our upcoming live events. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.